pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The details, right? So I want to welcome all of you to the board meeting tonight. Just as a protocol, let's introduce ourselves as the hosts of the evening.
Michael Donlin.
Crystal Morin, Secretary.
I'm Lynn Perkins, the chair.
Jim Dietzel.
Gaspar Bimba.
We have Code Enforcement Officer Kerry Owen with us, and Eileen Boudreau is our clerk. How's that? Fewer people up here, I can remember more names. Just a matter of housekeeping here. Please shut off all your cell phones, iPhones, anything that could create a distraction of the proceedings. Please limit your conversations. I know you want to chat, but just so we can keep the distractions down for the record. Speaking of the record, these are audio-video recorded proceedings and scheduled to terminate at 10 p.m. And in the event of an emergency, please exit to the rear of the room and someone will assist you. Don't use the elevator. So anyway, on this agenda, we have a request to table the case 26-115 to June 18th, 2026. If anybody is here for that, could I have a motion to table that, please?
Chair, I'll make a motion to table case number 26-115 to the following meeting, June 18th, 2026.
Very good. Can I have a second? Thank you, Mr. Donlin. All in favor of tabling that to that meeting, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. All right, so we're up to our regular agenda, and Mr. Obimba, I'm going to have you sit for this and probably likely the next case. The next case up is 26-112. Applicant is Jeffrey Moulton, representing owner Benjamin Powell. Mr. Moulton? Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
And I think you know our protocols. Just introduce on the application if you'd like, and then get into that 5 criteria for the record.
Sure. All right, so the proposal is to allow the construction of a second-story expansion to an existing single-story garage, which is located less than 35 feet to front property line and less than 15 feet to side property line, as permitted by a variance granted in 2016. Number one, the variance will not be contrary to the public interest because the original setbacks will be maintained from the 2016 variance. Garage modification allows more storage and reduces lot clutter. Number two, the spirit of the ordinance is observed because garage setbacks are consistent with other structures in the area, and the project maintains existing setbacks. Number three, substantial justice is done because the project will maintain the same lot coverage with no effect on lake quality and provides more functionality for the owner. Number four, the values of surrounding properties are not diminished because project setbacks are consistent with other properties in the area, and increased storage will reduce lot clutter and provide better aesthetics. Number five, little enforcement of the provision of the ordinance would result in an unnecessary hardship. I, no fair and substantial relationship exists between the general public purposes of the ordinance provision and the specific application of that provision to the property. The lot is narrow, limiting options for expansion. The lot also has a high water table, preventing a basement. A second floor garage modification is the least intrusive solution. Double I, the proposed use is a reasonable one. Proposed garage modification is a permitted use under the ordinance and has no effect on lot setbacks or lot coverage.
Very good. And please proceed.
So I think if you take a look at, say, the tax map, that kind of gives you an idea for this lot, 091. But you can see in general the houses in the neighborhood they're very close to the lot lines and to the road. So this is very much in character to what's already been built in the neighborhood. If you go back to some of the architectural plans, you'll see really all we're doing here is we're raising the roof and putting a higher wall. And that allows storage up in that facility. There'll be no living quarters, there's no heat, there's no water up there. It's just more storage facilities. And we included some pictures that shows the existing garage and house. And as I said, the roof will be raised and it'll allow more storage space. And then lastly, we included a drawing that shows, is consistent with the drawing that was approved in 2016. That shows the existing setback from the west lot line of 6 feet and 26 feet from the Germantown Road. Any questions?
I'm sure that your intended, you may have expressed this, but let's go to the last photo with the porta potty on it. Is that roof facing the lake, the water?
Yes,
Okay.
the lake is on the other side of the,
Do you have any impervious issues or permitting that is relevant to this at all?
there's no increase in impervious footprint. So.
And I'm not overly familiar with this, but is the permitting on an addition like this separate from if you just dug it into the ground? Because I guess the first question is it 250 feet to the water's edge? And it is. And so is the permitting when you do something like this different than if you were to just dig a new hole and?
There's no permit required from shoreland as you're not increasing the impervious footprint.
Right. No, I mean, if you had dug this freshly and were building this, not just going up a second story, that's where the
Absolutely.
permitting comes in.
Yes.
Okay. All right, let me rest. Anybody else have any questions? Mr. Donlin?
Not at this time.
Mrs. Moran?
I have none at this time. He answered the questions I had about what would occupy up there.
Okay.
Should I suppose, Mr. Chair, I do have a question.
Yes, sir.
The proposed ridge height relative to the existing dwelling's ridge height, where are we talking relative to one another there?
How much higher?
Will the new ridge of the garage be higher than the ridge of the existing house?
Yep, we included a profile of the section, and it shows that we're raising it about 8 feet on the backside. Whereas, if you look at the pictures, you can see that the slope of the existing roof comes right down to the edge. So then the backside will go up 8 feet.
Okay. You satisfied, Mr. Donlin?
Yeah, sir, I am.
All right. Mr. Obimba?
I'll do the math.
Donlon, ask my question. Maybe for code enforcement, do we enforce averages for roof ridge heights for a similar addition?
Averages?
Yeah, like look at similar roofs in the area.
Let's go over code enforcement now. Mrs. Owen, if you'd like to do your staff and answer that at the same time, you're welcome to.
Absolutely, thank you. So as the applicant stated, seeking a variance to allow the construction of a second-story expansion to the existing single-story detached garage located less than 35 feet from the front property line and less than 15 feet from the side property line. This property was granted a variance November 17th, 2016 to construct the detached garage, which is 22 feet by 22 feet. And it's in its current position. It was approved within the setbacks. So The second-story expansion is expanding the original permitted footprint, therefore the variance is required for this. As we are aware, this is along Big Island Pond, so this is a waterfront property. It abuts a beach area for use by the residents on Germantown Road. Germantown Road is also a private road not maintained by the town. And as the applicant confirmed, a shoreline permit will not be required because the impervious surface is not being increased. And then just standard permitting would be required moving forward. And regarding the ridge height, we do look at averages in certain districts, not necessarily in this residential area. I'm not necessarily convinced that the ridge is increasing by 8 feet. It's more the dormer in the back of the,
Right.
that's
it doesn't-
increasing height. So
The overall height doesn't increase.
increase, yeah. So the ridge height will remain the same. The back wall will be lifted up to allow for head height and storage in the space.
All set, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Mr. Diesel?
No, thank you, Mr. Chair.
I think relevant to ridge height, and I'm not sure if this is where you were going with that, Mr. Obimba. There are ridge heights and building heights that the building code does observe, but not so pertinent here. I don't know if there was any restriction there that the designer self-imposed, but I just add that as a little more clarity for you. All right. You're all set, Mr. Moulton? All right, let's make a call to public. Anybody in favor of this application, direct abutters, if you would like to come forward and support this application, this would be your opportunity to do so. Seeing no one in the room rise, let's make a call to any opposition. Anybody opposed to this application, this would be your opportunity to come forward as well. Seeing no one rise for that. Mr. Moulton, if you are all set, we'll take a motion to deliberate. You all set? All right, could I have that motion, please? Mr. Dietzel, you want to help me out?
I make a motion to go into deliberation.
And Mr. Obimba?
I'll second the motion.
All right, all in favor of deliberation, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. Anybody wish to lead off?
I will, I guess. I think this is a pretty straightforward application. The 5 criteria, I believe, were met. I looked at the property, and I don't think that what they're proposing is really out of line. I don't think it changes the essential character of the neighborhood. I believe that strict enforcement of the rule or literal enforcement would deny a reasonable use of this piece of property. I don't have any problem with it.
Mr. Obimba?
I agree with Mr. Dietzel. I think all the 5 points have been addressed, and they're pretty clear. It's not an excessive ask. We are not increasing footprint to the impermeable surface. It's just surface we're changing, and I think setbacks are staying the same. It's the height. I think it's a reasonable request for the board to consider.
All right, very good. Mr. Donlin?
I too believe it's a reasonable request, and for all the reasons stated prior. No expansion of the actual footprint, impervious areas, generally a bigger concern by the water especially, seems reasonable.
All right. Mrs. Moran?
I agree as well that all 5 has been met. He could essentially do it without changing anything, just not comfortably. So I think he should be allowed to do it comfortably.
Okay. And I too, seems fairly simple. I think we've clarified all the permitting issues, and whereas the permit and the variance were already approved, and an addition was put in off of that variance. This increases the building size, but not the outward dimensions, so this is, I don't see this overly complex. We could structure the motion, which would be, I think, simple, would be subject to obtaining all state town permits and inspections. Does anybody have any other addendums they'd like to add to the motion? Seeing no gestures there. All right, very good. That being said, we can come out of motion, come out of deliberation.
I'll make a motion to come out of deliberation.
Thank you, Mr. Dietzel.
Second.
Mr. Donlin has a second on that. All in favor of coming out of deliberation, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. Mrs. Moran, you have a motion to read.
I do, thank you. I make a motion on case number 26-112, Jeffrey Moulton, to grant a variance as provided in Article 6, Section 165-48.b.4 of the Town of Derry zoning ordinance to allow the construction of a second-story expansion to an existing single-story garage, which is located less than 35 feet to the front property line and less than 15 feet to the side property line. Parcel ID 19091, zoned LDR, as presented with the following conditions. We have one, subject to obtaining all state and town permits and inspections, and that concludes the reading of the motion. I need a second.
Second.
Puts that motion on the floor for consideration. Let's get into the finding of fact. The board found that the applicant is in the low-density residential district. The parcel was granted a variance in 2016 to build a 22 by 22 foot garage. The application is to expand that on a second floor. The road that this is on a private road along the lake, and the property is serviced by private water and sewer. Any addendums to the finding of fact? Seeing no gestures there. All in favor of moving this for a vote, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. Mr. Dietzel.
Yes.
Mr. Donlin.
Yes.
Mrs. Moran.
Yes.
Mr. Obimba.
Yes.
And the chair will make that unanimous by a vote of 5-0. Anybody, of course, aggrieved by this decision has 30 days to ask for reconsideration from the board. After that, recourse will be to Superior Court. So, congratulations, Mr. Moulton. Nice presentation.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Next case up is 26-113, tabled from May 21st, 2026. The applicant is Edward Herbert, representing Craig and Bonneau Construction Company. Good evening, folks.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. For the record, my name is Shane Gendron. I'm employed with Herbert Associates. And with me this evening, I have Craig Bonneau, who's the property owner.
As you may recall, our protocols just get us into the
5 criteria.
application face and the 5 criteria. Yes, sir.
Sure.
Thank you.
So what we're looking to do is subdivide this property into 3 lots. One of those lots is not going to make the 3-acre minimum requirement, and that's what the variance is about. And with that, I will read the 5 criteria. 1, the variance is not contrary to public interest because 2 of the lots will be 3 acres and therefore meet zoning. A wetland forms a natural boundary for the 3rd lot, which will be approximately 2.4 acres. This is larger than any of the surrounding lots that abut this parcel and provides more than adequate area for the proposed improvements. Granting the variance will not pose any threat to public health, safety, or welfare and will not interfere with the public's use of Winchester Terrace or Pingree Hill Road. 2, spirit of the ordinance is observed because The proposal for 3 lots does not conflict with any of the purposes of the zoning ordinance as stated in section 165-3. It will give the owner the highest and best use of the property. If the variance is granted, it will meet all other zoning, health, safety, and building requirements. 3, substantial justice is done. The use that we're requesting is an allowed use in the low-density residential district and is consistent with all of the surrounding lots. It will allow the owner to make reasonable use of the northerly end of this lot, which is physically isolated by a wetland, making this land unusable to the existing home site. All 3 proposed lots will be larger than any of the surrounding lots that abut this parcel. In accordance with 165-3H of the zoning ordinance, this proposal gives reasonable consideration to the character of the area involved, as this parcel is surrounded by undersized lots. Proposed Lot 1, 2.31 acres, for which the variance is sought, is larger than any of the abutting lots, and the next largest lot is abutting 14-26-10 at only 2.16 acres. The value of surrounding properties is not diminished. The wetland forms a natural boundary on the northernmost lot. The other 2 lots will meet the 3-acre requirement for zoning. One proposed lot has an existing home. The other two lots are large enough for sizable, attractive homes that will meet all the building setbacks, increase property values for surrounding lots. There will be no negative impact to surrounding properties. 5, no fair and substantial relationship exists between the general public purpose and the provision specific to that application. The general purpose of the ordinance is to ensure adequate land area is available for the construction of a house, a well, and a leach area. The 2 proposed lots on the southerly portion of the parcel will meet the zoning requirement. The northmost proposed lot is physically isolated from the existing home area by a wet area and is too remote from the house to be usable. There is no land to add to this lot to make it conform because all abutting lots are undersized and the northerly line is the Chestertown line. The lot will have adequate land area for a house, well, leach bed. It will meet all soil-based lot sizing and require no waivers. The proposed use is reasonable. The lot is in the low-density residential zone. The proposed use is similar to all of the surrounding lots, and it's an allowed use in the zone. All 3 proposed lots exceed frontage requirements and have adequate area for the proposed improvements. And B, special conditions that distinguish this property from other properties. The southerly portion of Lot 14-24 can easily be subdivided to form 2 3-acre lots that conform with the zoning ordinance. However, the portion of the lot to the north of the wetland cannot reasonably be used without a variance being granted for the house lot due to the natural boundary that this wetland creates.
All right, sounds like you have a bit of explaining to do.
Sure. So this is an 8.44 acre parcel that my client purchased that has an existing home on it. And Craig is a builder. He'd like to develop the property. He'd like to develop it into 3 lots. The first step that we do when we take on a project like this is we look at, obviously, we survey the lot and we have the wetlands flagged out. We hired Luke Hurley of Hurley Environmental Land Planning to flag the wetland that basically runs from the back of the lot between lot 1 and 2 all the way to the front of the lot. There's a culvert that runs under Pingree Hill and that wetland continues on. Between that wetland and the 75-foot wetland buffer on either side of that wetland, it creates quite a separation there from the area around the house and then that area to the lot of the north. This lot has long frontage on Pingree Hill Road, has 974 feet of frontage on Pingree Hill, and has 440 feet of frontage on Winchester Terrace. Obviously, lots 2 and 3 meet the zoning requirements. Lot 1 to the north, which is physically isolated, is where we'd be looking for the variance. A little about this property, if you look at it on the tax map that was included on the variance plan, you'll notice almost every lot in this neighborhood is well below the acreage that we're proposing here. We are almost completely surrounded by 1-acre lots. Other than that, I mean, the lot will meet all of the requirements. Obviously, it would have to go before planning board for subdivision approval. It would have to get a state subdivision approval. And then there would be septic designs that would have to be approved through the state of New Hampshire.
Is lot 1 the conflicted lot that does not meet the acreage?
It is.
your frontage there is 379.71,
That's correct.
and your other two lots meet the frontage. I'm looking for that length on where the existing dwelling is.
Sure. I have it written down right here.
It appears to be 215.
On where the existing lot is, Mr. Donlin?
Yeah, look just north of where it says LPG tank. I believe the L reference there is the length.
Oh, very good. Yep.
That's 215.80 plus there's another 72.41, so you're looking at 290 feet almost.
Okay. And the frontage in this area is 200 feet, correct?
200 feet requirement frontage, yes.
Anybody else have any questions to throw at Mr. Gendron? Mr. Obimba?
No questions for now.
Mr. Dietzel?
No, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Donlin?
Not at this time, Mr. Chair.
Okay. And trying to grasp that wetland setback, and I see the 75-foot wetland setback line. It's just to the left of the proposed well on that lot one. Am I correct?
That's correct.
So the proposed structure is 75 feet away.
It's more than 75 feet.
Got it.
Yep. There's over an acre of usable, buildable land on that lot, and there's almost 2 acres of upland high and dry land on that lot.
How do you determine on that lot your septic location there?
So we're required by state of New Hampshire, and I believe dairy subdivision regulations just show what we call a 4,000 square foot area. That's a state requirement. Typically, a leach field is somewhere between 300 and 500 square feet. So the state has basically required us to show an area that's large enough. We dig a couple of test pits in that area to show that that area proves out. We've already done the test pits on this. All the test pits were greater than 5 feet, reasonable water tables because we're up on a hill. I don't see any issues with septic.
Yeah, so they give you a target 4,000 square feet, and then you can kind of throw the dart at it, correct?
That's correct.
I see.
All right, well, let's, if you don't have anything else, Mrs. Owen, you have any feedback for us?
Thank you, Chair. Not a lot to add. I think the applicant did a great job presenting. As we're aware, this is a variance being requested to allow the property to be subdivided into 3 lots, where one of the lots will be less than the required 3-acre minimum. The property is located in the low-density residential district, which requires a minimum lot area of 3 acres. This proposed 3-lot subdivision will result 2 lots meeting the 3-acre minimum, and the 1 lot will be approximately 2.3 acres. Therefore, the variance is being requested for the undersized lot. The existing residents and proposed new lots are serviced by private septic and private well. And as the applicant stated, if approved, the planning board subdivision approval will be required. And that's it. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, well, let's make a call to public. Gentlemen, you know how we handle that, so let's see if anybody comes up and gives us some feedback. Anybody wishing to speak in favor of this application and support, this is your opportunity, if you're a direct abutter, to come up and be heard. Seeing anybody rise? Anybody in opposition to this parcel and this development? You may come forward now. God bless you. That's good. Good evening. Your name?
Good evening. My name is Jonathan Bresnahan. I own 55 Pingree Hill Road.
Okay.
A week before the last town hearing was when I heard about this. I was informed by the post
Oh, right.
office.
Yeah, that's about right.
So I haven't had much time to prepare, and I definitely didn't, I wasn't given the plans, so I didn't really know too much about them. I came here to observe and learn.
Okay.
But my understanding, based on the plans, is they want to put a home directly in front of my property.
Where is your property in relationship to this?
I was trying to see from the back of the room. I could not. I live at 55 Pingree Hill Road. If you can see it, based on the design of the road, I would say I'm at the top of Lot 1.
Okay. So they want to put it in front of your house?
Is that what prop house stands for? Property house,
a proposed house.
It looks roughly where I live. I don't see my home listed on the map, so I don't know.
Well,
No one came to talk
I
to
don't
me.
think your home will be on this property.
Across the street from my property.
Oh, I thought you said they're putting it in front of your house?
Yes.
Oh, across the street you...
I would live across. The current home, 34, my neighbors that recently deceased, that Craig bought their house.
Okay.
That they lived there for decades.
Yeah.
I lived in my house for 7 years. My neighbors have all lived in the area for 40 plus years. Every one of them. None of us know Craig. I met him for the first time last meeting, and it was
Okay.
brief. He didn't come to any of our houses and talk to us about this, and the only reason we heard about this was because
You were notified.
we were informed. So still processing
You
it, to be
received a
fair.
certified letter, correct?
Correct, and I'm still processing it, to be fair, because I've lived in my home for 7 years, and the purpose of me buying my home for my family was the privacy. That was a big selling point to my family. I have
Yep.
2 children, and when we bought the home, we were actually told that it was conservation land, and I, a couple weeks ago, found out it's not because of that letter. So then I looked into the land, and I believe it's parallel to conservation land, which is a little further in. Behind me is also conservation land. So in the 7 years that I've lived in my home, I witnessed a lot of beautiful natural life, frequent the property across the street. I watch turkeys sleep in those trees. And so for me to not know really what's happening, but to not let this pass by and not say a thing,
Sure.
I chose to be here tonight. And so my greatest opinion on this would be, it would be a catastrophe to tear down this beautiful forest that we have enjoyed in this neighborhood, to put 2 homes on, along with the existing home. And that is not of the character of the neighborhood. The neighborhood itself is very spread out. Now, my street is a 5-mile long street where we have 4 different towns on my street. I'm the last home in Derry. My next neighbor is Chester. You go down a little further, you get to Auburn. You go to the very end of the road, it becomes Manchester. If you walk that street, you'll notice that every home on that street does not typically have a home across the street from them, and they're spread out. It's a low density area, and that's the reason why I bought the home. And when I started my family, the day we bought the house was the day my son was born and moved in. And so that's all they've known. And I'm also very concerned about the construction. I'm in construction myself. I understand the timeline. It could be a long time to tear a forest down, to build homes on. It's a dangerous corner. I watch kids all the time fly around that corner, and then they gun it up our street for some fun. I can't imagine what it would be like to see construction trucks backing out of that area, and who knows what could happen. I have little kids, 6 and 4 years old. I know our neighborhood walks that street regularly. It's a very comfortable neighborhood. We all know each other. We all say hello. I don't know Craig. And Craig didn't bother to get to know any of us. So this is alarming. And I am actually a little disappointed. I believe I'm the only person representing. I could be wrong. But that being said, a lot of this neighborhood is in 4 towns. It's not like anyone else was informed. My neighbors to the right of me were not informed. They're in Chester, but this is going to happen right next to them.
So,
That's yeah. I'll leave it for questions.
yeah.
What questions
So
do you
did
have
you,
for me?
and I understand where you're at, like, urban growth, right, affects everybody. Time changes things, and everybody, particularly over the last handful of years, has seen their environment change. And But where I would direct you to is the, relative to the 5 criteria that were read into the record, which are your guidelines by statute.
So the first one is to the public, right, which would be me,
To the what?
to the public.
Public interest?
Yeah, it doesn't meet my interest, am I the public?
Well, that is true. However, you also have to balance the constitutional aspects that the New Hampshire Constitution
That he has the right
allows.
to buy a home and build land, or apply to build land, is that what you're referring to?
I didn't hear everything you said. Go ahead.
I apologize, I cut you off. I should have just let you finish your sentence. I
No,
was just
that's all
saying
right.
that the constitutional right to buy land and develop it is what you're referring to?
Yeah, reasonable, excessive, that kind of thing, right? And a lot of times that guide is your ordinances and what's allowed within a district and in a zoning district, right? And so the test here is that the third lot, which is Lot 1, apparently across from your home, that becomes the tipping point of those 5 criteria and whether or not that lot is permitted or granted a variance and granted relief.
Right.
So your focus essentially wraps back around those 5 criteria, and it is up to the applicant to prove their case, and you could try to disprove that case. And so you're welcome to do so. I'm just giving you those guidelines, those rules that this board is obligated to follow.
Right. So, I made a few notes based on my last time spent here. This is the first 2 times I've ever visited a town hearing, so very unprepared for how they go. I didn't even realize I'd be on television. It's quite a show.
How's it feel?
Interesting. I'm sure we all feel very interesting about it. I don't enjoy it, but I don't mind talking to you guys about this because I take this very serious. I am going to live in my home for a very long time. I don't plan on leaving. Down the road from us, English Ranch was recently developed on a hill where the home was sold, and they built 4 homes on that land. And now I've watched those surrounding neighbors sell their homes. And that's one of my biggest fears as well as a homeowner of this property on this land. I've watched people sell beautiful homes that I admired and enjoyed passing by, and I could not imagine selling the home that they're willing to sell, but I'm pretty positive it has a lot to do with somebody throwing 4 homes on a plot of land, and we all hate it.
Yeah, particularly in New Hampshire, I think the average median age is 49 years old, and like other states like Colorado, the median age is 29. But going beyond the median age, you have a lot of people that are aging out. I think a lot of discussions that occur within the state are that people would like to move, they'd like to downsize, but the way the economic drivers on housing is going right now, there's a lot of people that can't move, and or it doesn't make economic sense to do so. So those are the contrasting factors that, as you're expressing this, and very well may be that those folks are moving because all of a sudden they've lost their forests. Whoever's phone that is, could you shut that off, please? I'm just contrasting your points, right?
That's fair.
If you go through the 5 criteria, the public interest, the argument very well could be the public interest is serving a direction that the state is pushing for economic drivers, right? Your perception of public interest might be, well, it's not in my public interest because I've enjoyed the wooded areas.
I paid taxes to live on my property
Yeah, that's
for 7 straight years in Derry.
Yeah.
It's not cheap.
But there again, it's not your property, right? And
No, correct. I figured I don't have much say in this, but I'm going to say what I have to say, because if I don't, then I'm going to regret letting this happen and not saying anything, and then watch construction happen in front of my property for the next few years and watch a forest I've enjoyed sitting on my front porch and looking at. And and watching it get torn down with no say would be a tremendous tragedy of my own. So that's why I'm here. I don't know if I'll have the right things to say, but I'm going to say what I can, or
Yeah.
I'll gladly answer any questions. But if you want to just send me packing at some point, just send me packing.
Yeah, and it's not to be dismissive, it's kind of giving you the overview of the ground rules that govern what we do and the education for yourself, get familiar with what you're dealing with and hear you out, so.
Sure.
Is there anything else you wish to add?
I hope it doesn't go through.
I'm sorry?
I hope it doesn't happen.
All right, anybody, don't go away. Anybody have any questions for Mr. Bresnahan?
No, thank you. No.
Okay, very good, thank you.
Okay.
Anybody else wish to speak in opposition? Seeing no one rise? All right, gentlemen, you want to come back up? You, of course, have rebuttal to the remorseful losing the wooded lot. My suspect is that the real estate agent may have suggested one thing to the individual, and that, of course, was not the case, obviously. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here trying to build a house on conservation land, correct?
No.
Is that conservation land right next to Lot 1?
Not that we know of, no.
No.
Just to clear up a couple of things, Mr. Chairman, we did notify folks in Chester.
Yep.
For whatever reason, those folks in Chester have a Derry address. I don't know why, but when you go to their assessing software, I checked it twice because I thought my staff had made a mistake, but they have Derry addresses. I don't know why. Maybe it has something to do with your postal service or something going into Chester. I'm not sure, but all of the abutting parcels, including the Chester parcels, were notified. We did speak with a couple of homeowners. One homeowner came out while we were digging test pits. We spoke with them. Craig is actually rehabbing the existing home for his daughter, so his daughter's going to be inhabiting that house. So he does have stake in the property, and it's not like he's just trying to develop it and flip everything. His daughter will be there. And Craig's a pretty quality builder. He's done a lot of stuff in Derry, and I think most of the stuff that he's done has turned out pretty well for the town. I get it, people don't want to see land get developed, but I do think that this is probably the highest and best, use for the property. It's zoned for residential use, and there's certainly plenty of area to develop.
Yeah, the frontage seems more than ample.
Yes.
And you're almost there on the completed three lots, the 3-acre lots, right? I mean, you're not missing it by much. And essentially, it has your protective rights as the property owner to do what you'd like, other than putting up an industrial plant or something that just doesn't go with the ordinances, right?
Right.
Anybody else have any questions? Mr. Obimba, Mr. Dietzel?
No, thank you.
To my left, Mrs. Moran or Mr. Donlin?
No, sir.
Okay. Ms. Boudreau, do you have finding of facts at all? All right, well, that being said, we take a motion to go into deliberation.
Make a motion to go into deliberation.
Second.
Motion made for deliberation, seconded by Mr. Dietzel, correct?
Correct.
All in favor of deliberation, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. All right. Anybody wish to lead off? Mr. Donlin?
Sure, Mr. Chair. I feel as though the 5 criteria have been met specifically as it relates to the surrounding lot sizes and being similar to what's being proposed in this area is not egregiously off as far as the square footage under is concerned, especially relative to the surrounding lot sizes, and the overage on the frontage, as well as not needing any other variances as far as setbacks are concerned, and we're not worried about well and septics or shoehorning anything in, proverbially speaking. That seems like a reasonable use of a lot in a time when people are looking for lots.
Okay? Ms. Moran?
While they were talking, I was writing down from the GIS for Derry, the lot sizes, and there's only one that does go above the 2-acre lot, and I know it's not to set a precedent, but it would keep in with the character of the neighborhood, though. So I feel that it meets the 5 criteria in that it would fit.
Did you, indicated that in the surrounding lots that you only found one that was above the 2 acres or
Correct.
less than, it's 3 acre minimum?
Correct. So I haven't gotten to the Chester abutters yet, but the other 10 or so were an acre, like across from the property, it's 1.3, then 1.6, and 1.59.
Those are the acreages of those lots?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Mr. Dietzel?
I'm certainly sympathetic to Mr. Bresnahan and his concerns, but whenever we build new houses, trees get cut down, and I think probably when 55 Pingree Hill was built in 1977, they had to cut some trees down. So I'm going to stick to the 5 criteria, particularly the one non-conforming lot. If we were just dividing it into the 2 3-acre plus lots, then he wouldn't need a variance at all. So it's just that one non-conforming lot that we're discussing here. The reason we have the low-density residential zone is to keep a rural feel, prevent overcrowding, proximity of the houses and so forth. And I think literally enforcing that ordinance in this particular non-conforming lot is really not feasible, and it would deny the property owner an opportunity to reasonably use this piece of property, given the proximity of the wetlands and just the nature of this lot. If we were to deny the variance, that lot would be essentially rendered useless, as opposed, well, possibly just to expand the adjacent yard, but that's not what the property owner is requesting. I think what he is requesting is reasonable. I don't think it substantially changes the surrounding neighborhood.
Character of the neighborhood?
Character of the neighborhood, and so I believe all 5 criteria are met. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yep. Mr. Obimba?
Not much to, it's already been stated. Just to emphasize that if we go by averages of the abutting lots, he's still within that number. And for the 3 parcels, the one he's requesting is still larger than, if you look at just the numbers, the other lots that surround the area. So by quote-unquote right, he'll still be able to subdivide and develop those properties. I feel they've met all the 5 criteria. That's been clearly stated by the members who've spoken prior. I have nothing else to add.
Yeah, so the, if you took away the 07, the 06 on the lots 2 and 3, and you add it to this lot 1, they're off by half an acre. But I think the applicant expresses the general spirit of the ordinance in this regard, which is still fairly rural development at 3 acres apiece, understanding there's some peace and solitude that the neighbors probably have liked out in that area. I've looked around there myself from time to time, and it's a nice area. As I indicated to Mr. Bresnahan, the basis of the arguments become, the spirit of the ordinance or public interest. And often what you end up finding on other decisions that the public interest is the development and more housing needs that are within the state. It's not the financial hardship that we preside over, but it is the basis of what the ordinances establish and their spirit of the ordinance and their intention. So I think we have a concurrence there within the board. Let's structure the motion. I think it's pretty self-explanatory in that we often have lead off with subject to permits and inspections.
And then subject to planning board.
And subject to planning board review, yes. I'm looking for that motion sheet. Do you have that one there? Yes, and subject to planning board subdivision approval. Very good. Other than those two conditions, does anybody have any amendments or addendums they'd like to add to the motion? Seeing no gestures, you're all set, Mr. Donlin?
I am, sir.
No, but just to say it out loud, to take the abutters into consideration when building is always friendly.
Well, and understanding Mr. Bresnahan's point about safety as children, and yes, we understand that construction vehicles are in and out of that area, and often professional truck drivers are more cautious than the teenagers that are speeding up and down the hill or up and down the road, and so we don't take his commentary lightly. I think we have the motion structured adequately, so with that, we can take a motion to come out of deliberative.
I'll make the motion to come out of the deliberative session.
Thank you, Mr. Obimba. Mr. Donlin has a second. All in favor of that, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion's on the floor, and would you happen to have finding of fact with you, Mr. Corbett? If you'd like to. If you do, you're welcome to come up and
Sit with us.
we are at 113. Do you have another motion sheet there? I don't seem to have mine for
Can I
this
borrow
case.
your
Can
motion?
give this to Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Oh, you've got one, okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank
You do? I don't. Oh, you don't, okay, all right. All right, so that motion was, what did I leave off?
I have to read the motion.
Yes, read the motion, please, thank you.
I make a motion on case number 26-113 to grant a variance to the terms of Article 6, Section 165-48.b.1 of the Town of Derry zoning ordinance to allow the property to be subdivided into 3 lots, where one of the lots will have less than the 3-acre minimum. Parcel ID 14024, zoned LDR, as presented with the following conditions. We have 2. 1, subject to obtaining all state and town permits and inspections. 2, subject to planning board subdivision approval. And that concludes the reading of the motion. I need a second.
I'll second the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Obimba. This motion seconded by Mr. Obimba. Motion on the floor, therefore we can evaluate the finding of fact. In the first leg of the finding of fact, contrary to the public interest, I would say that the public interest is served more by the development of the property versus any takeaway from the public. Mr. Dietzel, how do you feel about that?
I agree with your analysis.
I'm sorry?
I agree with your analysis.
Very good. You have that, Mrs. Boudreau? All right, good enough. Mr. Obimba?
Mr. Chair, I do agree with your analysis.
Okay. Mr. Donlin?
I too agree, and
Okay. Mrs. Moran?
Chair, I also agree that it won't be contrary to the public interest.
All right, is your microphone on?
Sorry.
Okay, Mr. Provencher, you have that, all right?
Yes, sir.
All right. Spirit of the ordinance, the intention of the spirit of the ordinance has been expressed as keeping open spaces and more spread out development. And though Lot 1 does not meet the entire acreage requirement, it gives ample frontage to the property, and it also has the intention of meeting that spread out development. Mr. Donlin, how does that strike you?
I certainly agree, and with respect to that, the neighboring properties, with the exception of the 2 3-acre parcels within this subdivision, this will be the undersized lot will still be the second largest lot in the near neighboring area, I guess you could say.
Mrs. Moran?
Chair, being familiar with that part of town and looking at the spirit of ordinance, Pingree Hill and English Range both have numerous duplexes, so I could see maybe that was what they were trying to stop. I have no clue why the reason was the ordinance was made, but that would have been my best guess. So I agree that it doesn't go against the spirit of the ordinance, as it's still plenty large in the, with the frontage.
Very good. Mr. Dietzel?
I agree. I don't think it conflicts with the basic zoning objectives to a market degree. I think it's reasonable.
Very good. Mr. Obimba?
I to agree. I believe that the purpose of the ordinance to promote health, safety, and not overcrowd the area is being met, given the size of the lot. We've seen in the evidence provided to the board that the septic, the well, have enough area to be placed. All the frontages are being made. I do believe that we're meeting the spirit of the ordinance.
Okay. Substantial justice, I think Mrs. Moran brought forward the other size of lots along the road, and those are now non-conforming lots, though we're not going to require them to tear their homes down to meet this requirement. But I think substantial justice works in this regard, that the best development of this parcel, the 8 point whatever acres, is fair and matches the overall development of the neighborhood that's been in development for 50 years plus. Mr. Donlin, you have anything to add to that, or is that
I
acceptable?
agree, that seems reasonable.
Okay. Mrs. Moran?
Chair, I agree.
Mr. Dietzel?
I also agree for reasons stated.
Okay. Mr. Obimba?
I do agree, Mr. Chair.
Okay. The values of surrounding properties, the development of these parcels meets the overall layout of the road. Do we see that more homes there and probably pricier homes are going to be a detriment to the values of the surrounding properties?
I certainly don't think so.
Okay. Mrs. Moran?
I don't think so as well. I do remember on English Range them showing when new properties are built, that it, if anything, it helps the other property values.
Oh, yes, the old rising tides lift all boats thing. Right. Mr. Dietzel,
I agree for reasons stated.
right? Mr. Obimba?
I believe new homes will increase the value of surrounding properties. I was doing some research on the property that was mentioned that was sold, and it fetched a pretty good sum, and I'm assuming it's because the new houses were also pretty very expensive in the area. So I believe that the values of surrounding properties will be increased.
Okay. So the hardship here is that in my view, is that the parcel is not a perfect cube, and the geography and the size of the parcel and its shape create a hardship that would leave a significant amount of the land unusable for the intent that this district has provided. Mr. Donlin, how do you feel on that?
I agree, and I'll add to, I agree with what you said, and I'll add to that it's just shy of the 9, and certainly while these parcels were being divided up some 50 years ago, if it was in keeping with everything else around that was like a 1 or a 1.5 acre lot prior to any changes in the zoning, this, I mean, conceivably could be 5 or 6 lots if it was, happened to be developed back then.
Yeah, good point. Mrs. Moran?
I agree with what has been stated, and where the natural line, property line is too, that you really can't try to take from other properties without it looking or being an odd shape.
Mm-hmm.
Or more odd shape, I guess.
Mr. Dietzel?
I think Mr. Donlin made a very good point, and I agree that the 5th criterion, the hardship criterion has been met based on the reasons stated.
Mr. Obimba?
I am in agreement with what's been stated. You look at the shape of the property and the problem the wetland creates, it makes it difficult to subdivide this to meet zoning ordinance requirements and still be able to make good use of that 3rd parcel.
Okay. I think that wraps up our finding of fact. All in favor of moving this motion for a vote, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Mrs. Moran?
Chair, I vote yes.
Mr. Dietzel?
Yes.
Mr. Donlin?
Yes.
Mr. Obimba?
Yes.
The chair will make that unanimous as well by a vote of 5-0. Anybody aggrieved by this decision has 30 days to ask this board for reconsideration. After that, recourse will be to Superior Court. Congratulations, gentlemen.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Hey, Craig, how are you?
Welcome back. Did somebody leave a cell phone here?
Yeah, someone. Message.
Whose is this?
Just counter Derry.
Ms. Owen, is this yours?
Yeah.
Yep. Just leave me a scary note.
Do we have, are we on to 107 at this point? We are. Who's here for 26 and a half Ballard Road? Okay. We had a case that was 26-115. Is there anybody here for that? All right, so that has been tabled to the next meeting. Folks, 26-115 has been tabled to the next meeting date. I just see a lot of people here, so I just want to make sure that we've cleared up everything. Is anybody here for 26-116, which is the Kilduff Realty? Are the presenters here for that case? You are, okay. All right. Makes sense about all the people. All right, we're going to see how we do here. We may not get to that last case I mentioned. Let's see how we do in the next hour. All right. Next case up is 26-113. We have 26-107, Bird Enterprises LLC. Mr. Yenaco and Mr. Dresser, you wish to come up, please? You all set on that? All right, gentlemen, so you gave us some amendments.
Yes.
To the sign.
Yes, and thank you, Mr. Chair, for this last opportunity to speak. So we sent in a couple letters. I was hoping to get them in on one on May 29th, but we were still waiting to hear from my client's sign person, if you will. So basically what we've provided to you, I do have extra copies of this exhibit in case anybody doesn't have it. We've revised the sign to some extent, essentially in a nutshell, smaller, shorter, darker. And so the letter that is dated May 29th, both these letters are meant to more or less be very matter of fact. Was just acknowledging the differences that between previous plans that have been presented to you in this one, and so I'll just read them for the sake of the record. And these were altered in light of comments by the ZBA as well as the abutters. The sign pole now stands at 13 feet total height, which is down from 15 feet and 11 inches from the original proposal. The maximum height of the proposed sign's boxes, that's the actual signs themselves, is at 12 feet and 5 inches. That's how high they go. 2, the proposed sign box dimensions are 60 inches wide by 102 inches tall. Those figures are relative to both those sign boxes together. Thus, the individual height for each box is 51 inches. The figures are down from 120 inches tall collectively from both boxes from the original proposal. Third, the proposed sign's lower box is 43 inches from the ground, which is down from 72 inches from the original proposal. And as to lighting, this new version that we've presented here will be constructed with an opaque vinyl around it. And you get a sense of that if you look at this exhibit here. We have a day view and a night view, and this is the night view. And as you can see, the sign's been made to look dark because that has that opaque back to it, which I've been told, I had a conversation with his sign designer who told me absolutely no light gets through the opaque. And by doing so, this reduces the lumens by more than 50%, which is more than what we even opined about at the last hearing, which was 25%. And finally, there was a little light at the very top of the post, which is now gone. And then on June 1st, we provided a letter just, and I believe it was Mr. Corbett that originally asked for this stuff, and I wanted to get it to him, which is some more specifications as to lighting. So when I spoke with the engineer, he advised that the light output now is going to be about 70 to 75% diffused. If you want numbers, the LEDs that are inside the signs emit 7,448 lumens. Applying that 70% reduction from the new material that will be covering those lights, it's an estimated output of 5,214 lumens through that sign face. the newly added blackout film that we have there to the background, virtually no light comes through that. And it's estimated that approximately 50 to 60% of the illuminated area is going to be blocked, resulting in a visible light output, and this is really at nighttime, of 2,100 to 2,600 lumens. So of course, I don't know what a lumen is, so I had to look that up. And so for some perspective, 2,000 lumens are the equivalent of a 27 to 50 LED watt light bulb, or about a 150 watt incandescent bulb. And that was the information that we've submitted since we last met. We're happy to answer any questions if we can.
Do you still are proposing a timeline on when this light is going to go off? Is that correct?
Yeah, I think we'll stand by what we had before, which was that there would be a timer set that would effectively go on when it starts to get dark, and it's off by 9, I believe.
Yes, sir.
Time? Yeah,
Something in
9
that
p.m.
area, yeah.
Yeah.
And you had a downlighting on the topper of this post, is that?
The topper will be removed.
So there's not going to be a light on
That's
there?
correct.
It's gone.
Okay. So passerbys are going to be able to identify with this location and safely. And it sounds like you've been able to decrease the element that will affect any of the really two abutters in this matter.
I think I've done everything I possibly can do, yeah.
Yeah, I think the applicant, I think, has done a lot to try to, we heard everybody, and we're doing what we can.
Yeah.
We'll never make everybody happy, so.
Yeah, and the questions in this regard, by the way, are more to make sure that it's clarified for the record what your changes are. Do you still want the motion for lighting separated from the motion of the sign, or do you want to keep those combined?
I have no objection to that.
Okay, you all right with that?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll have to make that motion on the fly, I think, because I think we didn't do that. I didn't do that housekeeping, though it had dawned on me.
Doesn't mumble worse than mine.
I'm sorry?
That mumble is worse than.
Oh, sorry.
the ones.
All right. Anything you wish to add here?
I think we've said all that can be said at this point. So.
Ms. Owen, you sent out these proposals to 3 of the abutters. Did you hear anything back?
I did not.
Okay, very good. With that being said, we'll take a motion and go into deliberation. Take a,
Public session now?
your hearing time is done. You can sit
We're
down.
not in public session now.
We are, this
We
is,
moved out of public session at the end of the last hearing.
this is not a public session. We followed our policies. All abutters were given an opportunity to rebut.
So you were moved into deliberative.
We are moving into deliberative session.
Already moved into deliberative session.
We are moving into deliberative session right
Is
now.
this a public hearing or not?
This is not a public hearing. This is their opportunity to make their formal request that they are altering their original motion and compromising to the abutters.
So they have-
I'm not going to go back and forth, Mr. Foley. You can return to your seat. I am not breaking
They
the
have
law.
submitted a new proposal. They have accepted it after you went into deliberative session. And the fact of the matter is.
We have not gone into deliberative session until right
This is a
now.
public hearing, I have the right to speak since they have spoken again.
Mr. Dresser, you have any comments here?
Mr. Chair, at our last hearing, that was supposed to be our last final word. There was a request made to us to provide some last bit information that was really just matter of fact,
Yep.
as I just read. That has been submitted. We are not opining here. We are not making any more arguments. The public has been heard multiple times. The changes here are really more of a revision or an amendment, and I think everybody has said enough at this point. And it is supposed to be that the applicant is supposed to have the last word anyway.
Very good. It's always been my perception,
Yeah.
so.
This is a complete redesign of the sign. It is a change in the height of the sign.
So I would like to make sure that the minutes of this meeting make it quite clear that a new design has been submitted after you left public session. And that requires notification in the hearing. We received this information on the 2nd of June. I'm supposed to be...
Never has occurred before in my time on this board, and we've always been able to make amendments, especially when the public input has given us direction to do so.
And we have the right...
Are you fair with that?
We have the right to contest.
Mr. Foley, you can either sit down, or I will have you removed from the building.
Our meeting only ended because of time. If
We're all set to go, we're in deliberative. I asked for deliberation, did we get a motion there?
No.
We do, we have, Mrs. Moran will be sitting in for Mr. Tripp, who is absent. And
We need another one.
you're on, it's 5, Mr. Donlin.
Okay.
Okay? Mrs. Donlin, you're all set to proceed? Okay. All right, that being said, I need a motion for deliberation.
I'll make a motion to go into deliberation.
Thank you.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Donlin. All in favor of deliberation, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right. So public input and the compromise of the property owner have brought forward the proposed reductions in the sign that was asked for relief. The board had given direction as we tabled this without deliberation at the prior meeting. And can we make up a separate proposal as the applicant had asked for to separate the lighting from the sign?
So this one only has the one.
Yep.
I don't know what he's asking for.
I think we're designating relief for lighting on this. Ms. Owen, do we have a separate lighting aspect to signage in the 3 pages of ordinances?
That's what I'm trying to find. In relation to lumens.
Who else has a motion sheet? Mr. Donlin, do you have one of these with you? Can I Mr. Obimba, did you get one of these?
I do.
Could I have yours, please?
Yes.
Just hand that down to me.
Hey.
50 square feet. Yes, thank you. 102, 12 equals 8.5. Two and a half. Square feet, okay? So that motion on this is going to be not 50 square feet, but 42 and a half. The other motion is going to be to allow the installation of the 50. We're going to go make motion, Yenaco duly authorized to grant the variance of section 106, 165, 101.1.
Chair, I'm not finding anything separate in the ordinance.
Very good. All right, so we will revise a second motion as the applicant had requested. Would we, Mrs. Owen, would we think that as we're separating the motion of and I'm sorry that we're doing this at this moment, 165, 101.1, is that all encompassing of all signs?
In this district, yes, I would agree.
Okay, all right. So we'll leave the section 165, 101.1 of the Town of Derry of zoning ordinance to allow the installation of a lit sign.
Does it need to be clarified that it's internally lit?
Yeah, we can do that.
And do we want to record the numbers that were presented from the report of what it illuminates so that there is a...
With decreased luminance, internally lit sign with decreased luminance.
or no higher than 2,600 luminance?
Is that what it is?
It says between 21 to 26. Okay, yeah.
2,100, right, 2,100.
Maybe 27, if it says approximately, maybe it's put it within a wheelhouse, but at least capture a maximum.
Okay, lumens.
Sorry, brother, right, Crystal, I think I jumped the gun.
Oh, that's all right. And with time lighting as specified. Okay. All right. We'll do that separately.
Can I see yours, just so I can have the same version?
And again, you want to change that 50 square foot to 42.5.
Correct.
And on a condition of that, number 2, Mrs. Moran, you want to note that the lit topper to be removed. All set there? All set, Mrs.
Yes.
Moran? Yeah. You have that lit topper removed there? Correct?
Do you want to put it as a condition?
I do want to put it as a condition, yep. And this is to appease, I think, the Davisons, who had concerns about compliance after the fact. And all right, I think, let's get into the discussions here. In the first of the 5 legs, the question becomes contrary to the public interest. And does the sign alter the essential character of the neighborhood? My feeling on this, as we've discussed prior, that this road is a main commuter thoroughfare and double yellow line. It's not an intimate neighborhood setting like something in around a school zone. There are similar or larger signs along the same roadway. Prior, we referenced when the focus was solely on the electronic messaging sign, we referenced another sign at the far end of Hampstead Road as it enters, I guess, Hampstead. But half a mile away on the same thoroughfare is a larger sign, 40 square feet. Mr. Roger brought the various signs in the community to other like businesses to the attention of the board, measuring those signs at similar locations that he had shown us. Those signs vary in size and are larger than what the ordinance specifies for such a venture like this in any of the other districts, and that would be 24 square feet. The Calvary Christian Church up the road, probably closer to the Rogers than this is. This is almost a quarter of a mile away. Has a 40 square foot sign and it's backlit, and it is also at a facility that is closer to the road, easily 2 times than this facility at 187 Hampstead Road. Anybody else wish to give some feedback on the public interest aspect of this? Mr. Donlin?
Sure. I would agree, and I would add that being that some of the clients may be first time that they are visiting the property, this would cut down on any erratic traffic patterns or erratic driving behavior on what we conclude to be a busy road. It could eliminate some of that confusion.
Essentially, safety, I think, is in some aspect of what you're getting at, correct?
Certainly turning into other properties in an effort to turn around and then backing out into the road and all that.
Ms.
I want to add to what Mr. Donovan said, though, too, that the reasonable identification as well for emergency responders, that was...
Valid.
Yeah, how does a property get identified? Any property. And I think as I closed out our last meeting, I said that there is no district within this town that does not allow some kind of business sign if you look it through all of our ordinances, either through the effect of a special exception or as designated for a business. And it wasn't a matter of whether or not this business should have a sign. It's what type of sign, how large, and what is fitting in a district where there's an approved use for that facility. And the signage needs to be identified, or needs to identify a location, and as you've pointed out, Mrs. Moran, for safety issues as well. Mr. Dietzel, any thoughts there under public interest?
For reasons stated, I don't believe it's contrary to the public interest.
All right, Mr. Corbett?
There's been a lot. As I look at the latest changes, I don't necessarily think they're material. Just to go back to that, from what we saw at the last meeting, I think the new background on the type of material for the sign, it wasn't necessarily within our purview, and just shrinking it from the 50 to the 42.5, I think, is typically within changes that we've seen come through right beforehand. But with that, as I look at this, driving down this road a lot, over the last 2 months while we've been hearing this, I do believe it's tough to see that church back there, especially when you're coming around the corner with another church right back there. I do think that this current sign that, while it is larger than a couple of the other ones in that general vicinity, I think it's appropriately scaled. I think it works for where it is. I don't think it's going to adversely affect traffic. I think if anything, it will help with the traffic, especially knowing the age groups, people that are going to be coming in and looking for this, the time of night that they may be arriving or leaving. I really don't think that it's contrary to the public interest on the larger scale, when thinking about the town.
On the spirit of the ordinance, as I indicated, there's not a district in the town that does not allow a sign of some sort for a business. And I won't go back through the structural sizes that were here. But the spirit of the ordinance allows for different signage in different districts. And we see this along this roadside at Meadowbrook Farm. We see it at at the church, and likewise in the reverse direction on this same roadway. So to me, the spirit of the ordinance is met when a business, albeit is a unique business, needs to be able to promote itself. It's not about more revenue, but to be able to just be existent and be identified. There's not a building in this town, this building as well, that does not have some kind of signage on it. And it doesn't matter whether it's a school, a fire station, the municipal center, or any of the other privately owned businesses. All of them are allowed some kind of signage to be able to let the public know that they're there, and it would be a hardship to take that away from them. But going to the spirit of the ordinance, Mr. Donlin?
I agree. I would just reiterate by saying I believe it's reasonably similar to other signage in the general geographical area of the building.
Mrs. Moran?
I think given the property's unusual setback and reduced visibility from the roadway, that the requested relief is reasonable, and it allows the property to function in a manner consistent with other properties in the area while maintaining the overall intent of the ordinance.
Mr. Dietzel?
Yeah, regarding the spirit of the ordinance, the abutters previously had stated that we're conflating the business with the sign, and I don't know if we are or not, but I don't see how the two can be completely separated. As you said, this business needs a sign of some sort. I think that the spirit of the ordinance and the essential character of the neighborhood was blown when they put the church in, and many, many years ago. And we're stuck with the fact that we had to put the church in there. And given the fact that something had to go in there that was not conforming with the zoning ordinance, I don't see how a sign of this nature is significant compared to what has already been done. And there is case law that says that it must unduly and in a marked degree conflict with the basic zoning objectives of the ordinance. And I don't think this sign does that to a marked degree and in an unduly fashion. The harm's been done by the church. We can't go back. Now we're just talking about the sign. I think the sign is reasonable, and I think the spirit of the ordinance is observed.
Okay, Mr. Corbett?
I agree with what you and Mr. Dietzel really have stated. I think that, what's allowed there is now lawfully authorized, and that happened through a prior decision outside of our board. And I think that, what's allowed to, exist there, they do need a clear identifier. And I don't think that a sign goes against the spirit of the ordinance, now understanding what we're utilizing the property for. Or what we've deemed the property is allowed to be used for. I guess the town has allowed the property to be used for.
So, substantial justice. Is the loss to the individual outweighed by a gain to the public? The abutters had an opportunity to address this matter. In fact, during the process, we tried to correct one abutter in the fact that he was solely talking about the prior case that focused around electronic messaging signs, but not presenting the objection to any of the 5 criteria that is relevant to this case here. And as much as we tried to engage with him, he resisted and really didn't want to engage back with us. It leaves us to the Davises or the Davidsons? Davidsons, yeah. Their concerns are understood. And I think that the applicant has done an awful lot to kind of diminish the impact and honor what their feelings are here. And I think that this compromise that they asked for and the abutter notably, or the applicant notably gave, is justice in itself. Mr. Donlin?
I tend to agree with you, Mr. Chair. I would go back to something, the point Mr. Corbett was just making in his closing statement to the spirit of the ordinance, and that our board is not here to decide the use of the land. So would it be reasonable to contend that a business needs a sign? And I would agree that that is substantial justice for a business.
Mrs. Moran?
I agree with what has been stated, and I feel the requested sign, it's not intended to expand or intensify the already approved use, but like I'd said, but rather to provide reasonable identification of the property. And then the relief requested is limited in scope and directly related to the unique characteristics of the property.
Mr. Dietzel?
I agree. I think the substantial justice has been met, that criterion, yeah.
Okay.
For reasons stated.
Mr. Corbett?
I think you made a good point. I think that, when you look at the substantial justice, if we were to deny this variance, I think it causes more of a burden to the applicant that, again, the sign's a reasonable identifier for something that's, a multiple approved on-site uses. And if you approve the sign, I'm sorry, I'm a bit short of breath tonight, but if you approve the sign, I really don't think that it results in much harm to the public, especially having a chance now to really look at this, to see these lights turn down, what was originally proposed to what there is now, when it was the church, with the bat signals going up into the steeple that are no longer there, and the other light shining from the building that we saw, almost made it look like an airport. I think that the sign is a much more reasonable use.
Well, I think that we honored testimony, even though Mr. Roger, his other live-in, Renee Cloutier, and or Motivated Tiger, whatever. I think that the board also has honored what it is that they were advocating for with some compromise, even though they have not been able to identify how they would be aggrieved by this. And I think that goes back to emphasizes that substantial justice, which is what does the public gain if you don't allow this business to promote itself? I think it becomes a detriment. Diminution of property values. The board is seeing the broker opinion supporting both sides of this argument. Again, I think that that the compromise by the applicant has allowed what is, I think, something that is very less offensive and to the abutters, particularly at night. And the higher courts have allowed zoning boards to determine the relevance of the information to diminution of property values. And I find that between the two arguments, it's a neutral. I don't see that this facility, cleaned up as it is, not vandalized, windows all boarded up, a vacant lot just sitting there to go into disrepair, I think that this, as you go by this property, it actually improves the property values, not diminishes it. Mr. Donlin?
I agree with Mr. Chair, and I will reiterate the concessions that have been made along the way to minimize any effects while still maintaining effectiveness in regards to the sign serving its purpose as needed.
Okay. Mrs. Moran?
I agree with what has been stated, but also I had looked at the town's, I forget what it's called already. The vision plan, and the number one thing that was in it was youth activities, keeping youth, and so I think having that property, having that in town won't just, help their property values, but everyone else's because of the recreation part of it.
Very good. Mr. Dietzel?
Yeah, I agree with what the chair and Ms. Moran said about the business itself enhancing property values, but I'm going to focus on the sign, and because we've already the business itself is kind of a past issue. I'm just looking at it from my standpoint. If I were to move into this, if I'm looking for a house and I want to live in a particular neighborhood, maybe I wouldn't want to live right near that business because it's too busy or too lit, or I don't want to live near a business. But if I want to live there, am I going to turn around and say, well, I want to reduce the price of my offer by $50,000 because of the sign? I don't see it. As you stated, Mr. Chair, I believe the sign itself is neutral. I don't see any adverse effect on property tax or property values.
Okay, Mr. Corbett?
I agree with the way Mr. Dietzel's looking at it. We heard testimony on both sides. We have the letter from the abutters that stated it would reduce the value. We have the letters from the applicant saying it would enhance the value. To your point, the Supreme Court, precedent does allow the board, if you know the area, it's one of the reasons I've been driving through it as often as I have, to continue to get a feel that you can rely on your own experience too, as just as much testimony, if not more. And to Mr. Dietzel's point, which I wholeheartedly agree with, is that I think you and Ms. Moran make a good point that what is there now, just the improvement to the property is an increase to the property value. I think as it is, the property values are already increasing because of what, the broken windows, everything that we've seen in kind of the dilapidated church over the last decade are gone. But what I look at now is that to say that a sign, located at an area that was on the site plan review that allowed the business to go in the first place is now going to be what reduces the neighborhood value. I just don't see it. I don't think that the sign can bring, I don't think the sign is a negative. Mm-hmm. I think it's, if anything, it is neutral. I think that it would be a negative to the applicant. I just don't see how it would, a sign itself would affect the properties. I think that it's already, quote a famous line, I think the rising tide already raised all the ships.
Hardship.
Everybody's favorite.
Everybody's favorite, that's right. Oh, let me see what this is at. Looking at how this property is and what the hardship is, and the unique setting, and whether or not the property is unfairly burdened by its location. The first thing is that this parcel, the hardship was established some time ago, not to the applicant's doing, but as someone mentioned already, the church, or Mr. Dietzel suggested that the church was established some time ago, poor endeavor on behalf of the Archdiocese. But they established the hardship, and they created this building that was designed for a lot of parishioners who didn't seem to go there. And now you have this structure, and what do you do with it? No less than other times when we see people come for development of property and they claim hardship. This individual made a usage of this property, which is a reasonable use. But as a capitalistic society, the idea that a business can be there but can't ever promote itself, show itself, or display itself is, I think, creates the hardship in itself. The structure and the pictures that were given to the board, as well as my own drive-bys of this property, almost create a safety risk. If you're heading east on Hampstead Road, you have to rubberneck back in order to see the facility and be able to identify what it is. And you have patrons that may want to go to this, or families that may want to bring their children for the baseball school or camp, and maybe end up having to drive by multiple times or twice because they overshoot the driveway because they don't see it there. I understand this technology and GPSs, which my own experiences that I've been watching on the road happen to enhance safety issues, not help. So I'm going to almost rest on that hardship. But the property, there are other parcels on this same stretch of road, quarter, half mile on this double yellow line road, that are allowed to have signs, larger signs than what the ordinance would allow, and they're closer to the road. This structure is 2 times, 3 times further from the road than those referenced in the other 5 criteria, and therefore the signage is necessary, as I think as proposed and improved in the compromise for this applicant. Mr. Donlin?
I agree, Mr. Chair. I'd just reiterate, I believe this is reasonably similar to other similar properties in the area, and I will also reiterate the setback from the street is certainly much more than the other properties around, in my opinion, further facilitating the need for the signage.
Okay. And I guess that would be the signage as they're proposing here, which is smaller than the ordinance, sign ordinance specifies through other parts of the community. Would you agree?
I would.
Ms. Moran?
I agree, because it's an approved use and where it is set really far back, it's unreasonable to expect them to lift the building and move that forward. So the building was put where it was put, and where other businesses in that area as well have a sign and it's closer to their building.
Okay. Mr. Dietzel?
The hardship is a difficult one for me. So I'm just going to go by the wording. Due to the conditions of the property, no fair and substantial relationship exists between the general public purposes of the ordinance. And I think that pretty much means we shouldn't just be enforcing it literally for the purpose of enforcing it. It should be tied to the goals of the ordinance, and that goes back to the other 4 criteria, specifically the spirit of the ordinance substantial justice. And so I believe that there is a special condition for this property that we've already discussed. It's a commercial enterprise that I don't believe I would have granted a variance for had it not been a church before. It all goes back to the original problem with the church. So given the fact that we have a business there, that's a special condition, because what are you going to do? And then the second part, is it reasonable? Well, I didn't think an electronic messaging board was reasonable. I thought that was excessive. I think their downscaled, compromised proposal based on the little picture they gave and what I'm seeing in my imagination, I believe what they're proposing is reasonable. And so I believe that the hardship criterion is now met with this application.
So you find this parcel to be a unique setting?
I do. A unique setting and a unique overall condition given the history of the use.
And unfairly burdened compared to other properties on the same road?
Unfairly burdened.
Very good, thank you. Mr. Corbett?
I think Mr. Dietzel's done a very good job, over the years of reminding the board how the hardship, relates to the characteristics of the property, not to the business, not to the applicant, not to, really anything else that you hear. And when I review the site, what I look at that makes this unique is it's a residential zone that a church is allowed to build in, because the churches are allowed to build anywhere, which then led us to a situation where the church goes vacant for years. The property becomes an eyesore. The ZBA itself, we declined how many uses for that building over the years. But then a mixed use was approved by planning, and then that therefore makes this property unique, as it's now a commercial property that exists in a residential area. And by right, as we see with, jot them down, but let's look through the RSA 674-33, in the Harborside case that was discussed at length early on with this. The applicant just needs to show the sign's necessary, or doesn't need to show that it's necessary. They just need to show that it's reasonable. Mm-hmm. And I think that a sign for a commercial use in a residential area is reasonable.
Very good. Let's get into structuring motion, unless anybody has anything left to add. We have two motions. One is for the installation of a 42.5-foot pylon sign. We're going to take these motions one at a time and identify finding of fact for each. We have, subject to obtaining all state and town permits and inspections on both the variance application or motion for the sign, as well as the lighting for the sign. And we can structure both of those motions simultaneously, I guess. We have, that's the standard is the 42.5 square foot pylon sign. And then on the other motion, which the applicant has authorized us to do, that will be internally lit sign with 2100 to 2700 lumens with timed lighting as specified. So those are the two motions that we're structuring, both subject to obtaining state and town permits and inspections. Anybody have any additional conditions to those that they'd like to add, Mr. Donlin?
I don't have any additional things to add, but I think that the lumen specification is a little too
vague?
or strident, really. Like, it was approximations, and it's so much lower than what we were talking about, that it's like, I think, even if you just said like 3,000, it would be well in keeping with in a compromising mindset.
Rather than holding it to such a tight number where it could just be off by a few.
Up to 3,000 lumens? Is that what you're getting at, Mr.?
And I think that gives them a little bit of, gives everybody a little bit of leeway, because this is, based on approximations, but keeps it from becoming totally egregiously bright, which was the goal.
They're not going to want to go on the bright side of the 2,600 number.
Right.
If you give them a cap.
And I think the difference between that is like setting 9 and setting 10 on your kitchen dimmer. Like, it's not much.
Ms. Owen, you have a 3,000 lumens tester, do you?
We have a lumen tester.
Okay, good enough, thank you. All right, so those, Mrs. Moran, anything you wish to restructure or add to those two motions?
Well, I just want to confirm, do you want lit topper to be removed on the actual sign itself?
Yes.
Okay. And then internally lit sign with less than 3,000 is what we?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Corbett?
We said we're putting in the downlighting topper is being removed?
Yes.
Yeah, that works as it is on the rendering.
Okay.
Otherwise, I think you have the hours, you've capped the lumens. I think the request was to make sure that everything was clearly documented as to what we were or were not approving. I don't know what other I's were dotted and T's were crossed that we may be missing. I think this is everything.
Okay. Mr. Dietzel?
No, I'm all set, thank you.
Okay.
And are we putting light to be turned off at 9 PM or?
Yeah, we have with timed lighting as specified.
Okay.
Yeah, because they had an on and an off, I believe.
And that would be with the internally lit motion.
That's correct. Okay.
Yes.
All right. With that, I think our motions are structured. We can take a motion to come out of deliberation.
I'll make that motion.
Mr. Corbett, motions out of deliberation. Mr.
Donlin?
Donlin, seconds. And all in favor of coming out of deliberation, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right.
Read the 42.
Yeah, let's do the 42.5 motion first. Are we all set to roll through finding of fact? Okay.
What was the term that we got earlier? It's uneven waters.
All right. Mrs. Moran, you have a motion to read.
I do, thank you. I make a motion on case number 26-107 for Bird Enterprises LLC, J. Yenaco, duly authorized to grant a variance to the terms of Article 3, Section 165-101.1 of the Town of Derry zoning ordinance to allow the installation of a 42.5 square foot poly sign, parcel ID 10012, zoned LMDR, as presented with the following conditions. We have two. 1, subject to obtaining all state and town permits and inspections. 2, the lit topper is to be removed, and that concludes the reading of that motion. I need a second.
Second.
Motion seconded by Mr. Corbett.
I just wanted to make a correction. I believe it's a 42.5 square foot pylon sign,
Versus, what did you hear?
not pylon.
Oh, we'll include pylon into.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay.
No, I think you said it. I just
Oh,
wanted
got
to
it.
make sure that it was heard clearly by everyone.
Okay. Any other changes or motions on the floor? Mr. Dietzel, you all set?
Yes.
Okay. Motion's on the floor, so we will go into finding of fact. You have all that paperwork there.
Do you have a second one, or a template? Finding a fact for case 26-107. Originally heard April 2nd, 2026, continued May 7th, May 21st, and concluded on June 4th, 2026. The ZBA heard the application of Bird Enterprises LLC, represented by counsel, concerning the property located at 187 Hampstead Road, parcel ID 100212. Notice was provided to the immediate abutters per statute, and the board received testimony from the applicant and legal counsel, town staff, and both abutters and members of the public. Documentary evidence included, but was not limited to, site plans, photos, records, and expert testimony. The property is located in the low-medium density residential zoning district. The property is approximately 8.76 acres and is currently a mixed-use nursery/youth athletic school and facility. The proposal concerns variance relief from Article 12, Section 165-101.1 for a 42.5 square foot pylon sign. The board weighed testimony both for and against the proposal over the course of the prior 3 meetings. Now, with that, we will enter into discussing the 5 criteria. I will start at the board's findings as to whether the unnecessary hardship was demonstrated because of the hardship as it relates to the unique characteristics of the property. Starting to my right, I will start with Mr. Dietzel.
Yes, I believe that criterion was met.
Would you care to elaborate at all?
Due to the nature of the property being a commercial property in a residential zone, and the setback from the street, a sign is necessary, and denying the application would not allow him to use his property in a reasonable manner.
Thank you, Mr. Dietzel. Mr. Chair, we'll continue to my left.
I believe that the parcel under hardship is, and we will cover all 5 criteria, correct?
Yes, we will go through each of them.
That the property is in a unique setting, and that the property is burdened to be able to be useful, and the use currently cannot be accompanied reasonably without a sign. The property is not the only parcel of this similar nature along the same roadway, which has signage that is slightly larger in places related to their locale.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Ms. Moran?
I agree that it has been met with the property's unique setback, and the sign is needed because of the distance between the building and the road.
And Mr. Dahlman?
Yes, I too believe the hardship criteria has been met for reasons stated.
Thank you.
Mr. Corbett?
Yep, and as Vice Chair, sorry, starting this last one down before I move. I also believe that the hardship was displayed, as I noted before, especially due to it being a non-residential mixed use allowed within the residential zone. As I went back through, again, referencing RSA 674-33 and the Harborside case that we heard about very early on, the applicant's not required to show that it's necessary, just that it's a reasonable use given the property's special conditions. You know, and as I stated before, I believe that the planning board determining that, I don't believe that their approval means that it should be rubber stamped, but I do think that their determination that the use is allowed, that it's relevant when you evaluating it, that they have a fair right to show that the sign exists.
Okay. Next.
Moving along, I'll start with Mr. Donlin. Mr. Donlin, do you find the board's findings that this is not contrary, are your findings that this is not contrary to the public interest?
Yes, my findings are that this is not contrary to the public interest for all the reasons that we stated during the deliberative session. I can reiterate them. I believe I agreed with the comments made during that time and added, which I'll add again here, just to reiterate the traffic patterns and adverse effects of people out of town without knowing what they're coming up upon.
Thank you. Ms. Moore?
I agree that the variance will not be contrary to the public interest. I feel the sign being there, it will eliminate potential hard braking and, dangerous U-turns.
Thank you. Mr. Chair?
Yeah, I believe that the public interest is served. I think that the sign does not alter the essential character of the neighborhood. There are sporadic signs of this nature along this same stretch. I've reiterated that, just want to articulate it clearly. This is not an intimate neighborhood, and it is a thoroughfare or throughway for a lot of commuter traffic, and I think that this enhances, signage will enhance and help with safety and identification for emergencies.
Okay. One moment. Mr. Dietzel?
I agree, it's not contrary to the public interest for the reasons stated by the other preceding members.
And as I mentioned during deliberative, I believe the sign has been appropriately scaled. I think it's been appropriately designed. And I think it's been revised in a manner that works with the property. Also, while considering the surrounding residential character, I don't think it's going to adversely affect traffic, safety, or the visual conditions. And I believe that the revised changes to the light brightness and the hours are going to ensure that the internal lighting doesn't create a material different aesthetic from what previously existed with the church, with the spotlights and with everything that was bringing attention with the externally illuminated signs. I do not think that it results in a substantial detriment to the public good or derogation from the intent of the zoning bylaw. Now, Mr. Dietzel, do you find that this application is consistent with the spirit of the ordinance?
Yes, I do. The spirit of the ordinance is to keep the area residential, and I don't see how this sign in its diminished capacity from the previous proposals would have any effect on the essential character of the neighborhood. I don't think it's a material difference.
Thank you, Mr. Dietzel. Mr. Chair?
Spirit of the ordinance, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. I believe that this meets the spirit of the ordinance. As I've indicated, there's not a district in the town that does not allow some sort of signage for a business, either through special exception or otherwise, and therefore not allowing that same privilege here for this applicant would be a detriment to them, and I think that meets this spirit of the ordinance.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Ms. Moran, do you believe that this is consistent with the spirit of the ordinance?
I do, because it's a permitted commercial use on the property, and reasonable identification is necessary.
I'll get to you in one moment, Mr. Dahlman. Sorry, reasonable identification.
Yeah. Because where it's a permitted use.
Yep, I got it. I just forgot the last word. All right, Mr. Dahlman, do you feel this is consistent within the spirit of the ordinance?
I do feel that this is consistent with the spirit of the ordinance for reasons discussed during deliberative session, and I believe that this is reasonably similar to other signage in the general area.
And as a vice chair, I also believe the spirit of the ordinance is met. I believe the sign serves clear identification function for uses that have already been lawfully authorized on the property through the planning board's mixed-use approval. 4 or 5, Mr. Donlin, do you find that substantial justice would be served by denying this variance request?
I do not. I feel like substantial justice is done in granting the variance, as for reasons we discussed during deliberative session.
Thank you.
The use case.
And Ms. Moran?
I believe substantial justice is done as it's reasonable, the request is.
And Mr. Perkins, Mr. Chair?
There's no gain to the public by denying this. The applicant has revised their plans to accommodate the direct abutters, of which there are only 2 households that have protested this, and I think that their accommodations have met the testimony given by those individuals.
Thank you. And the Vice Chair agrees with the Chair. I believe that denying the variance would impose a real and practical burden on the applicant, and that it would limit the reasonable identification of the multiple approved on-site uses. I think granting it results in little to no corresponding harm to the public. I agree. All right, and lastly, sorry, Mr. Pizzolais. My sincere apologies on that one.
I agree for reasons stated by Chair and Vice Chair.
All right, I'm not going to make that mistake twice, so why don't you tell me if you feel that the applicant has adequately demonstrated that the surrounding property values will not be diminished?
I believe he has, the applicant has, by greatly reducing the size and the brightness of the sign. I think he's demonstrated that this would be neutral with respect to surrounding property values.
Thank you. Mr. Chair?
Yeah, I don't believe that there's any diminution of property value. I think the prior building that was there, or that was existing before the applicant took it over, is an increase in property value, and by right, their ability to communicate with the public in a modified sense is not going to diminish anybody's property value.
Thank you. Ms. Moran?
I feel that the values of surrounding properties are not diminished either due to evidence that the abutters had given us and the applicant, that it would essentially, to me, it's neutral.
Thank you. Mr. Dolan?
I believe the values of the surrounding properties are not diminished, again, for reasons we discussed in the deliberative session, as well as reiterated here by the chair.
Thank you. And as I noted during deliberative, we heard testimony from both sides on this one. But I'm looking at this through the New Hampshire State Supreme Court precedent that, we can rely on our own knowledge. And the knowledge and expertise driving through the area, I really believe that the sign, and a well-designed sign at that, at the entrance of the property, at a location that was approved during a site plan review, I don't think it's going to negatively impact the values of the surrounding properties. I don't see it. So with that, that concludes the finding of fact. This also includes all testimony that took place during the meeting minutes. Does anybody have any additions or addendums to make?
All right, seeing no gestures. Shall we make the finding of fact applicable to both motions?
I'll make a motion to, use the finding of fact on both motions.
Very good. Mr. Dietzel, second, please.
I'll second.
Anybody want to discuss that?
I specifically didn't mention any lighting, so I would hate for it to come back, based on that technicality. However, the reasons that I stated for each of the 5 criteria, I think that having, a diminished light, to me, it's the same as the sign. I understand that we've separated it, but it doesn't affect the facts that I found on the 5 criteria. So perhaps I would apply it or note that, my other notes is that, to me, the lighting doesn't change any of the opinions I gave.
Okay. So finding of fact applies to both motions, correct? Yep, all right. Mr. Dietzel made the motion, seconded by Mrs. Moran. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, well, that becomes less painful. All right, so all in favor of moving the first motion ahead for a vote, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. Mr. Corbett?
I vote yes.
Mrs. Moran?
Chair, I vote yes.
Mr. Dietzel?
This is for, sorry, just to go back, this is for the 42 and a half, correct?
That is for the 43
Yes.
and a half, yep. Mr. Dietzel?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Donlin?
Yes.
Ms. Moran, you voted already?
I did, I voted yes.
So the chair votes yes as well, makes that unanimous by a vote of 5-0. Mrs. Moran, you have a second motion to read?
I do. I make a motion on case number 26-107 for Bird Enterprises LLC, J. Yenaco, duly authorized to grant a variance to the terms of Article 3, Section 165-101.1 of the Town of Derry zoning ordinance to allow an internally lit sign with less than 3,000 lumens and
Lit topper to be removed.
in the lit topper to be removed. Parcel ID 10012, zoned LMDR as presented with the following conditions. We have 2, 1 subject to all state and town permits and inspections, and the second would be with the time that was specified, and that concludes the reading of the motion.
And that would be timed lighting as specified.
Yes, sorry, with timed lighting as specified.
Very good. Any addendums or changes proposed to that motion?
I think we can capture the time
All right.
in the minutes after from.
Very good. Okay, all in favor of moving that motion for a vote, say aye.
Aye.
Mr. Dietzel?
Yes.
Mr. Corbett?
Yes.
Mrs. Moran?
Yes.
Mr. Donlin?
Yes.
And Mr. Perkins will make that unanimous as well by a vote of 5-0. Gentlemen, you've been approved for this painful trail as it is, and I appreciate your compromise to the abutters and all the testimony that was given. Obviously, anybody aggrieved by this has 30 days to bring that forward to the board, and after that, recourse would be to some other venue. Thank you for your patience, and sorry for the pain that this has been. So wish you well.
Good luck.
I'm sorry? Yeah. All right. What do we have left here? We have Promised Land here. Promised Land Survey. You're here, okay. You had Kilduff Realty Trust is here. All right. I don't think we can get to you folks, okay? If you'd like, we can extend you to the next scheduled meeting, okay?
Mr. Chair, if I may, so on behalf of the Realty Trust, I think there are a number of members of the public here. The other motion, 114, do you have a sense if we could at least, my presentation would take under 10 minutes?
Who are you?
Brandon Wilson, Terrain Planning and Design LLC,
From-
on behalf of the Kilduffs.
No, we're not going to take any testimony. We're not going to take anything on that. I think what we're going to do is let you reschedule. I can't get into, you're going to open with 5 criteria, and then you're going to get into testimony, and I don't see that getting abbreviated in any sense. The case number 26114 was up next, so we're going to plug them in and hopefully get through that before 10 o'clock. All righty? So we will, who's representing, are you representing Kilduff?
Yes.
Okay, so does the next scheduled meeting work for you?
The 18th?
18th, Mrs.
Correct.
Owen, right? Yes,
Yes,
put you on there for that.
please.
Finding of fact obviously is dragging this out. Good intentions, but anyway. All right, so 26-116, motion to table to the next meeting. Mr. Corbett has that motion. Your mic on? No. Mr. Corbett has the
I'll make that motion.
Can I have a second on that, please?
Second.
Mr. Dietzel seconds that.
Sorry, guys.
Tabling to 26, to the next scheduled meeting, June 18th. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right. All right, next up is 26-114, Promised Land Survey LLC, representing Peabody Family Revocable Trust.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Good evening. My name's Ari Pollack. I'm an attorney at the Gallagher, Callahan, and Gartrell Law Firm. I have a letter of authorization signed by the trustees of the Peabody Trust that I'd like to submit to staff for your file.
Very good. Ms. Solon, can you receive that, please?
While I'm heading that way, I also have a broker's opinion of value that I'd like to make part of our testimony.
You have enough copies for everybody?
I do.
Okay, very good.
As I mentioned, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, my name's Ari Pollack. I'm an attorney here for the Peabody Family Trust, the landowners of 26.5 Ballard Road in Derry. With me this evening are the trustees, Jen and Craig Peabody, and Craig is seated to my right. Also with me in the gallery is Neil McCarthy of Promised Land Survey. Neil actually prepared the application for the Peabodys, and his firm has surveyed the lot in question. I'm late to the party, which is why I have the letter of authority for you this evening. The application seeks a variance from Ordinance Section 16547 to allow development of a single-family home. To hit the elements of the variance and then move into explanation, the variance will not be contrary to the public interest because the proposed single-family dwelling is consistent with the area's present usage, and the lot can be improved without overcrowding. The spirit of the ordinance is observed because the proposed single-family dwelling is, again, consistent with the neighborhood, and the lot has sufficient area, but a unique layout that provides separation from structures. Substantial justice is done because the proposed single-family dwelling is consistent, again, with the character of the neighborhood, and the application of the zoning ordinance to this uniquely shaped lot would not allow for any development. The proposal, frankly, is consistent with other zoning requirements, such as building setbacks and lot size. The values of the surrounding properties will not be diminished because the proposed single-family dwelling is consistent with the homes in the neighborhood, and the lot can accommodate that structure without overcrowding. Literal enforcement of the provisions of the ordinance would result in an unnecessary hardship due to the unique configuration of the lot. Strict adherence to the ordinance will not allow for development of a single-family home, which is an allowed use in the zone, even though the lot meets the area requirements, and its unique configuration allows adequate spacing and separation between the proposed dwellings and the existing dwellings. The proposed use is a reasonable one in that it allows for a single-family home to be constructed on a uniquely shaped lot consistent with the character of the neighborhood, and the unique configuration of the lot and its narrow frontage is really the main obstacle for development and is the subject of the explanation I'd like to provide if it pleases the board. The parcel contains 2.7 acres, and it has ample building envelope for a residence. We submitted a zoning exhibit with the application, if that might be able to be brought up. The residential use is allowed, or that one would do it. The residential use is allowed in the low, medium density residential district, and in this case, the relief sought is dimensional and involves the frontage and driveway to the building area or building envelope. The building area is accessed via a connection from Ballard Road that is 108 feet wide at its frontage, approximately 35 feet wide over the course of its narrowed length. The ordinance requires 150 feet in terms of both frontage and width, and therefore we've asked for variances in order to make the lot buildable for a single-family residence. The building envelope, the septic field, the existing well, they're all typical of residential development in this zoning district and in the surrounding neighborhood, and all of those are sufficient for construction without special relief. The issue, as I mentioned, is the proposed driveway. And the story of this property started long before my clients bought it in 2025. When they closed last October, they understood that variances had been approved and that the lot was developable for their intended use as a residence. Their only interest in the lot is as residential. They reside in Londonderry. They own a local business that operates both in Londonderry and in Derry, and this lot is intended to be their retirement residence. They want to move to Derry. After they closed on the lot and as their house plans were progressing towards a spring construction start this year, they became aware that the lot variances had been valid but had expired actually prior to their purchase and prior to the lot even being listed for sale. So there's something of the victim here, and they unknowingly stepped into some considerable procedural history, which frankly is now a significant burden. The variances that expired in 2025 were actually the subject of litigation, both in front of the New Hampshire Housing Appeals Board and then even to the New Hampshire Supreme Court. And again, before my clients were involved, this board actually voted in 2021 by a vote of 2-3 to deny the relief. Litigation was then brought to determine that the variance was appropriate under the circumstances, and they were approved by the board, affirmed by the court, and they lived for 2 years by statute. The building permit was not pulled during that period, and the variances expired in August of 2025, again, prior to the listing, prior to my client's closing, and of course, sadly, prior to their knowledge that the variances were no longer valid. So we're asking that the property be put back into the position where it was left by the courts in 2023 with variances to allow a residential use by driveway constructed from Ballard Road. Just to expand a bit on the verbiage in the application, and I'll be brief, I know the hour is late. The variance will not be contrary to the public interest. The district is residential, and a single-family home is exactly what's proposed. The lot's sufficiently sized with a building envelope to support a house. There's room for water, there's room for septic, there's room for driveway, there's room for parking. Yard setbacks can be honored, and there's sufficient room for the driveway to be laid out in a functional and typical width with its typical shoulders. The public interest is served by the creation of additional housing, and if it weren't for relief, this lot would not have a reasonable residential use. The spirit and intent of the ordinance would be observed because the proposed dwelling is entirely consistent with surrounding uses, and building setbacks for the structure can be observed in full. The ordinance protects against overcrowding and unreasonable massing, and in this case, that's exactly what would be accomplished, a house that fits nicely between other houses and other neighbors. The driveway would again be functional and would appear typical. Substantial justice is done because the residential use of the lot's allowed, and the gain to the landowner is not overshadowed by inconvenience or harm to the abutting owners. There's more of a burden to the applicant if the variances were to be denied, and the lot can be developed in the same manner as that which surrounds it, with really no greater or lesser intensity of use. It's more of the same. It's a driveway servicing a single home. The values of the surrounding properties are not diminished by the proposal because the proposed use is again the same as what surrounds it, and if anything, the development of new, efficient, and well-maintained construction will enhance neighborhood values. And on this point, we've provided an opinion from a local broker, Julie McMaster of Caldwell Banker. She is here tonight. She's available to answer your questions. In short, I will share with you and save you a moment that Julie's letter recites not only her experience in the local market, but also her professional opinion that the use of this lot for a residence will not diminish surrounding values. One more house won't hurt is essentially the message. And she writes that higher-end well-maintained homes will help and not hurt abutting values, and that the development of vacant lots essentially reserves uncertainty over what would be there someday, if anything. What you see is what you get. I am wrapping it up, Mr. Chairman. Another factor in valuation is whether the function or use of the neighbor's properties would be impaired by the variances that are sought. In this case, some survey work done prior to the application determined that the neighbors to the north, the Harveys, and maybe they're here, were using a driveway that they actually, or their predecessors, had actually constructed over a corner of the subject lot, and they were using an existing hammerhead turnaround near their home that also came over the property line onto the subject lot. I can share with you that an easement was granted by our sellers in 2025 in connection with the closing to my client to rectify this situation, and the easement's on record, and it essentially allows their improvements to remain as is. Neither of those easements affects our ability to lay down a driveway, and it is an example of neighbors working together to accommodate each other and protect value. Lastly, literal enforcement of the ordinance would result in undue hardship due to the unique configuration of this property. You can see it in red on the screen. The lot has plenty of building envelope, and it was actually intended to be a community well for this development of homes, but there's a minimal access route because it was originally intended as a utility parcel. Fast forward to today, and the issues of frontage and width will otherwise deprive the landowners of what is a reasonable and allowed use that's pursued by all of the properties that surround it. The lot can be reasonably developed with a typical driveway, and we're proposing screening and landscaping to help shield the abutter on the other side of the driveway from some concern relating to headlight glare. At the end of the day, we're talking about a typical residential amount of traffic, a few cars coming and going from one house, the same as every other house in the neighborhood. And I won't bore you with all the details or read the case to you, but I can share that the New Hampshire Supreme Court, as recently as 2018, did recognize that irregular and unique lot shape can serve as a basis for a hardship, and that was the Rochester City Council v. Rochester ZBA. Two boards in Rochester suing each other. It must have been a rip-roaring time. Constructing on a similarly shaped panhandle lot. Let me just summarize our evidence, if I can, please. The use is reasonable, and we line up well with the established principles of 674-33. The Peabodys, my clients, were not aware that the prior variances had expired prior to their purchase, and frankly, they now wish that they were. The proposal is for a single-family residence. It's consistent with everything that surrounds it, and the house can be built observing setbacks and the spirit of the ordinance. The lot has a unique shape that justifies relief, and that shape does not affect the building envelope or the ability to lay out a typical driveway of width and shoulders. The layout accommodates the easements that were granted to the north and proposes some screening for the abutter to the south, and the usage would be entirely typical and light relative to a single residence. I mentioned Ms. McMaster is here for any questions regarding her opinion, and Mr. McCarthy is here regarding any opinions relating to survey or lot layout or building envelope. And of course, the Peabodys and I are here for your questions as well. Our summation is simply that the Peabodys face considerable financial harm if the lot can't be used for a residence that's consistent with its surroundings and otherwise a reasonable proposal. Thank you for your consideration.
The access easement you're speaking of, is that noted in the middle of that driveway stretch? Is that where that's at?
It is.
Yeah, okay. And what's your proposal on reducing glare or whatever?
We have some planting shown on that concept plan.
Okay.
We're certainly open to suggestions. The idea is something evergreen that will prevent glare all seasons of the year.
I think one of the conflicts that this board saw before when it was, this lot was before us was, I see the plantings, was travel, disturbing of the abutters there on 103-22. And so noting that the board recognized to its failure the disruption to their property, I can appreciate that in their presence of mind, I can appreciate the proposal of the line of trees. The circular easement area that you've noted on there goes into the back of these parcels that are along Ballard Road, on the frontage there. What is that? What is your intention for that radius in there, that easement area? You're going to leave it alone?
I believe we're going to leave it alone and use it as it's laid out today.
Okay, very good. As this plan is depicting the layout, okay. I rest for now. Anybody else on the board have questions? Mr. Abimba, can you entertain us on this one? Thank you, Mr. Donlin.
I will.
You good on that? Mr. Dietzel, any questions?
No, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Corbett?
So realistically, I remember this case well from last time. Just a couple of points to that. Just to get into it, I disagreed with the overturn when it took place. I felt the board did dot its I's, cross its T's, but I don't say that out of a place of bias, as I was one of the two who voted in favor of the prior applicant. I just say that as I look at it again today, I don't see any changes to that request, and my feelings are still, I think I'm just kind of getting into my deliberative portion, but I have no questions for the applicant at this time. I'd like to hear some of, hear from everybody and then kind of go from there. Sorry.
That's all right. Mrs. Moran?
I as well want to hear from others as they're concerned.
Okay, Mr. Donlin, you have any questions at all?
Do not, sir.
All right, let's go over code enforcement. Ms. Owen, you want to help us out with your staff?
Thank you. Not a lot to add here, other very detailed presentation, but as we're aware, the applicants are requesting a variance to allow the construction of a single-family home on a lot with less than the required minimum lot width, or frontage at the minimum lot width. This property is located in the low-medium density residential district, which requires a minimum of 150-foot lot frontage and a minimum lot width of 150 feet at the 35-foot front setback line or 150 feet at the front lot line. Therefore, the variance is being requested this evening. As has been previously stated, and the board may recall, this parcel was previously denied a variance in 2021 to allow the construction of a single-family home on the property. That decision was appealed to the Housing Appeals Board in 2022, which resulted in the reversal of the ZBA's decision. That decision was subsequently appealed to the New Hampshire Supreme Court, which affirmed HAB's decision. That was in August 17th, 2023, and it has been 2 years since that final order was issued, therefore the variance has expired. Property is serviced by a private well and on-site private septic system. If approved, the driveway for the new home must be constructed to the town of Derry standards as required by the Land Development Control Regulations, and if approved, standard permits and inspections will be required.
And hence, you may have covered this, but that's why this is back before us now, because as specified by Mr. Pollock, the variance had expired, and per statute, we're required to hear that again unless an extension had been granted, right?
That's correct.
Very good, thank you. Folks, do you have anything else you wish to say to us at this point?
I would only make the comment that there were changes in circumstances since the last time, which was the granting of an easement to benefit the property to the north so that their improvements could remain as constructed, and I believe as are used, and the proposed screening on the south side. We're doing our best to make a unique and oddly shaped property function well for everybody. Even with those concessions, the driveway that we're proposing would be compliant with and have a sufficient traveled way along with some shoulders.
I appreciate that clarification. I did not mean that you guys were, I appreciate the concessions as well. I was looking at it more of a setback related only.
Certainly.
So I did not mean to dismiss what you guys are looking to do as well.
Thank you. We wish that an extension request had been filed and that we would have been buying something with the relief we're requesting, but that didn't turn out to be the case, and we're trying to rectify that with this evening's application.
Thank you.
Okay, well, let's, if you don't have anything else, let's go to public and see what they have to say. You'll just take a step back, but you'll have an opportunity to rebut, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody in support of this application? This is your opportunity to come forward. I see no one rise, so this would be opportunity to oppose. Anybody wishes to oppose this application? Good evening.
Good evening. I am Janet Ver, 20 Ballard Road, a butter to 26.5. This is about the third or fourth time that I have sat in this seat in this matter before the zoning board, lot 26.5. I should probably have my name printed on the back that it's my chair. It came before the zoning board in 2003. And it was turned down due to lack of frontage on Ballard Road, 34.14 feet of frontage. The land sat undisturbed since the end of construction of the Ballard Road subdivision, which was in 1985. But I'm sure this land has been a forest for well over 100 years. I'm sure some of the board members weren't even alive or did not even live in Derry in 1985. You may not even know where this lot is or what its topography looks like. I'll enlighten you. This land is the highest point on Ballard Road. Yes, it has been mentioned at every hearing. A well was driven on the site, but not sufficient water could be obtained. I ask, who drills a well on the highest point of land looking for water? I might also add that it was stated at the last zoning board meeting on this lot that the property has not been taxed as usable property. One would think once a request for variance was denied due to lack of frontage, that would be the end of all of this back and forth. However, not in this case. It came before the zoning board in 2021 with a denied decision in 2022. Same road variance issue, and here we are back again. Well, that wasn't the end of it. Mark Cooper, as a proxy for John and the estate of Edward Cooper, and his attorney of record, went before the New Hampshire Housing Appeals Board, made up of an attorney, a real estate agent, and a land surveyor, two of which, oddly, have the same last name. And they were there to plead for the overturning of the zoning board's decision, insufficient frontage. In the discussion by the appeals board, several frontage numbers were, as the saying goes, thrown against the wall to see which one would stick, starting with 31.14, 34.41, 108, and 118, where 150 feet is required. With each number change, supposedly the earth expanded in the seller's favor. During the November 18th, 2021 meeting, Attorney Sullivan said that the frontage would be 108 feet, not 31.14, if the cul-de-sac were reversed, but it was not. So they settled on frontage being 108 feet. Funny how the land seems to expand to fit the case. 2 variances required for this future development, maybe even more once new problems arise. This is not reasonable. The lot is a circle. If it does not fit, do not commit to the allowance of this variance. I'm going to leave the frontage issue that is before the board and go to the real reason for the abutter's objection to this being a buildable lot. There is a saying that we all know, water runs downhill. What I'm alluding to is once 1 or 2 acres of land has been denuded, the water from rain, etc., has only one place to go. Not to the original roots and vegetation that was there, that will be gone, but downhill, and we have 4 families living in that area. I must note that lot 26.5 is at a higher elevation to the abutting properties. There is a rule called the reasonable use rule, which says, if a property owner's actions result in unreasonable amounts of runoff that damage neighboring properties, they, the owners, can be held legally and financially liable. Not only the 4 direct abutters, but 17 Ballard Road, which is across from 26, has a down-sloping driveway to their garage. So any excessive runoff could end up in their garage. The damage to the abutters that I am talking about is water damaging foundations, filling cellars, furnace damage, soil erosion, pool filled with mud and debris, and the rendering of a septic and leach field system located in a back lawn, being completely damaged and in need of replacement. We, as abutters, face all of these outcomes. My caution to the board and the owners of Lot 26.5 is that any work done on this property, if zoning allows, be managed by a qualified engineer to ensure that there is absolutely no runoff at any time from whatever is being done, has been done, or will be done in the future. We as abutters have lived in peaceful enjoyment of our property, taken care of it, improved it, enjoyed our decks and backyards, and now we lose whatever peace and quiet we once enjoyed, because once the destruction of the forest takes place and the construction starts, our peace, our quiet, our privacy will all be gone. I note that we have 2 abutters who work from home. Imagine what this noise will do to their daily work schedule. Listening to the presentation by the Peabody's attorney, I have 2 questions. When the driveway is constructed, especially at the top by the house, will there be sufficient room for, let's say, Derry's ladder fire truck to go up there, turn around, and come back down? They also, the New Hampshire Housing Board of Appeals, in their decision on this, stated that screening vegetation shall be planted along the east side of the driveway as needed to provide a site buffer to the easterly abutter. It also needs to be a safety buffer because 26 Ballard Road has a very young child who likes to play in the yard. And I can imagine any UPS or oil truck or whatever coming down that road on an icy morning, and guess where it's going to land? In the yard of 26 Ballard Road. So I'd like you to think about this if it were your home. My husband and I have lived in this house for 41 years. We are in our mid-80s. We had hoped that this would be our last home. But with all of this happening, we may be forced to leave. But thank you for your attention.
You know, I had an interesting conversation with the 2 gentlemen at the Housing Appeals Board. I asked them the same question you presented, were they related? They actually, oh, they are not.
Okay.
But one had long hair and the other one didn't. They looked like total opposites. And there was a question in there. I mean, I think originally we came up with this, the Fisher Doctrine laid into this, didn't it?
Yes, we ended up reviewing that, I believe we tabled this the first night. We went back to review, I believe, the 2003 document, and we reviewed it against the Fisher Doctrine, and determined that we had to go through it wasn't I forget the exact, I'd have to have the minutes in front of me, but I don't want to complicate it, but we said it wasn't duplicative. And I think overall we ruled that we did have to vote on it again because in 2003, maybe that's where you're going with the Fisher Doctrine, the vote was structured in a very specific way.
I know.
And then it changed that you no longer had to do it that way, whereas in '03, every single board member had to vote yes or no unanimously.
It was simplex.
Simplex, that's it, thank you. And when we came back, we realized that with the change in the zoning law, with simplex no longer being applied, which is seemingly the basis of the '03 ruling, that we were able to hear it again.
So I rest my case.
Okay, well, thank you. Anybody else have any questions for Mrs. Ver? No? Okay.
So, thank you.
Next, we're gonna have to go to an extension,
Chair, I'll make a motion for 15 minutes.
okay?
I second
Motion at 10:15, if you would, please. Go to 10:15 on
A
that.
motion to extend to 10:15.
Okay, second by Mrs. Moran, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, good evening. Go ahead.
Good evening, my name is David Harvey. I'm an owner of 28 Ballard Road, me and my wife. One of the issues that I'd like to bring your attention to is the easement that was supposedly filed. If you look at the easement, you won't find mine or my wife's signature on it. It wasn't considered by us, negotiated by us, or anything. It wasn't presented to us at all. We found out after the fact, after the property was sold, that that easement was submitted. And in that easement, it says something about maintenance. None of that was negotiated with us. It was not a case of neighbors helping neighbors. We didn't have a discussion about it. So I don't know where this easement, or what this easement means, because we haven't spoken to the new owners. They haven't come to talk to us at all. So whatever that easement may provide to them in advance to this project, I'm not sure. We haven't been consulted or anything. So the driveway that was put in, I don't know how long it's been there, but I would probably assume that it has been that way for a very long time.
So when you're referring to the driveway, you mean the one that gets you from the half oval out to the build site?
The driveway that currently exists, my driveway.
Okay, that's what I'm trying to find, your driveway or the one that was essentially a service access to this lot.
Yes, the driveway on the north, on the screen that's showing right now, the one that says paved running to the road, that is our driveway. And the easements marked that are supposedly covered by that easement document, those don't have signatures from my wife or myself, either of the owners of our property.
But you were the owners at the time?
We were the owners at the point of sale.
How long have you been there?
We've been there since 2024.
Okay. So you're contesting the easement?
Yes.
If I may, so you were not, so you were not here when we previously heard this case, is that correct?
No, I was not.
Okay.
So
I had a question regarding that, but it would be irrelevant, so thank you.
this thing that says trail on it, that's, you are telling us that exists now?
So that was there when we moved in. We used it to move some stuff into our house. So that currently is still there. I think there might be some rocks on it, but it does still exist.
And the easement in question is between E2 and E4? Is that a safe, it's basically where the hammerhead is kind of?
There's E2 and E4, and then there's on the top right corner where the front of our driveway crosses over.
Okay, right there too.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, everybody got it, thank you. Everybody, let's get the lines.
That's beautiful.
And it's important to note that the power pole that services our house also sits right near there. I don't know where it falls on that drawing, but it sits right next to our driveway on that side, on the property line side.
Oh, and you want to show us where the power pole is?
Where is that power pole?
All right.
May I ask a question? Ms.
Sure
Owen,
thing.
without derailing too far? Ms. Owen, do you know what the typical process is for how an easement would get recorded? One-sided, two-sided? How would that normally work? To me, I would think it's almost just partially executed at this time.
I think it's partially executed at this time. I'd have to review that. I'm not clear on that process, to be honest with you.
Okay. Any questions for 28 Ballard Road from anybody? Mr. Obimba, Mr. Dietzel,
All set.
Mr. Donovan, you all set too?
I'm good,
Okay.
Mr. Chair.
Lauren, you're all set?
I'm gonna say I don't tonight, but I don't want to lie to the applicant. I might by the next meeting, if that's
Okay.
okay.
All right. We're all set for now, if you're all set. You just said, that's your point, is it's a contested easement.
That's my main point, yes.
So if the easement were erased, right, or were found not legitimate, what does that do to your parcel relative to this application?
That I'm not sure. Like I said, I haven't had any discussions with them or anything, so I don't know what the plans are or.
Yeah, so your driveway comes in, it's paved, I guess there's a hammerhead there, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. And that hammerhead goes into where the trail starts at E4?
Yes.
Okay, got it, okay. I think I'm good for now.
So if I want to speak it in, because I remember this from the last meeting, which is why I asked if he was the owner at the time. I believe, and we'll wait when the applicants come back up, they can correct me if I'm wrong at all, but I believe they said that the easement was put in by the seller, which I believe is Cooper. And remembering the last meeting, to Mrs. Ver's point of why, the popsicle headache began to exist on the frontage, they were originally giving a chunk of land to this property that was going to then eliminate the cul-de-sac, if you remember that. And the owners of lot 10324 weren't aware of that either. And all of a sudden it was gonna end up impacting their taxes because they were now requiring more size. Ultimately, the applicant then went back and, if I remember right, we stated a preference, I think I stated a preference actually, that I'd prefer the cul-de-sac to remain. And the council for the Coopers at the time noted that they were happy to do that because that's what would increase their frontage to 108 feet. So I guess that's where I'm going with that, and I'm sure it's the right way, but there is a history from the previous property owners of making a move without necessarily consulting. I don't know how that goes into anything, but I did just want to share that as it continued to weigh on me.
My understanding is that that's been fairly typical, that the consultations weren't very often happening or were contentious at best.
Yeah, and I just state that, again, just not to go either way with the current applicants, but it did seem like everybody's kind of been in a bit of a headache from the prior owners.
Yes.
Okay, very good, thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, opposition.
Hello,
Hello?
I'm Lori Fazio. I am the owner at 26 Ballard Road, and this just feels like a little deja vu because we've been here before. I don't know what I can say that hasn't already kind of been said. We've talked about this at length about how this was denied at 2003. The land has been untouched for over 40 years at this point. What was deemed a utility road or a paper road has never been used as such, never been used as a road. Vehicles have never been gone up that pathway before. There was actually a construction vehicle there recently while they were surveying that got stuck, that had to be moved out. It is a kind of a dangerous, narrow pathway up to that property. So whatever you say about the frontage in front might be a little bit wider, but the driveway is way more narrow, maybe like 30 to 35 feet. So to Janet's point about emergency vehicles going up, they wouldn't be able to make it. unless you start encroaching on our properties at 26 and 28, which, if you see some of the markers that were placed for surveying, there's trees that cut through those markers, so that fall onto my property, which, I mean, for me, I wouldn't want those cut down. And you would need that to have enough space for the driveway. I mean, trees for privacy is all nice, but again, I have a 3-year-old and a dog that are in that backyard, and having a driveway cut through the whole entirety of my backyard essentially causes safety concerns for me. There's also the issue of drainage, because again, that property is up higher. If there is any kind of flooding, it's going to go right into my basement, which will cause damage. So you can talk about it's not going to change property value. You can't really determine that. It's all a matter of opinion, because you don't know what's going to happen in the next 2 years after the property has been built, right? It could cause damage to the surrounding properties, the surrounding houses. I mean, do they have enough space in the back? Absolutely. That's never been the question. The question is on the proposed driveway not being big enough and encroaching on our property. My house is only 20 feet away from that path.
Well, and that was understood, I think, the first time that we
Yeah.
heard this, correct? And I think that went to why we were, some of the concerns of the board relative to your privacy, right? I mean, they're looking at a diminution of property value or a broker survey in regards to how it addresses overall property values around, but we also understood that it diminishes some of your privacy that you've been accustomed to. However, in one of these points, you know, we were looking at yours and your prior abutter expressing the issue about emergency vehicles, and the town design criteria would establish that, is it 100 or 150 feet?
Yeah, over 150 feet. It's required to be 14 feet wide, and they're required to have a turnaround or a hammerhead at the end of the
2
driveway.
feet on each side of the stabilized ground grade?
More than that, preferably for drainage, so.
Yeah, no, I mean, as far as clearance beyond the driveway,
yes.
is it over 100 is 12 feet or 14 feet?
Over 150 is 14 feet.
Got it, with 2 feet on each side of that, so that's an
That's correct.
18-foot swath, and the improvements require DOT grade gravel, 12 inches down, that kind of thing. So that criteria is not within this board's purview, but it is to address that concern and narrow your argument down to, you know, the significant points, and I'm not diminishing any of them. How deep is your lot? Is it 351 feet?
I don't know offhand how deep the lot is. I think it's something like, the whole lot is like 1.3 acres or something like that, 1.23 acres, something like that.
351.73.
So the buffer trees that are shown on the screen over my head there, is that about where your deck would be in line with? See the buffer trees up over my shoulder?
No, it actually would be a little further back. Maybe the last one on there.
Yeah,
No,
okay.
maybe like the last tree on there is kind of where it starts, so the whole back of that is missing.
How far back from the road edge is your house?
From the row edge?
Yeah.
Where is that?
I'm sorry?
What do you mean?
How far back from the road edge is your house?
Oh, the road edge. I didn't understand what you said. I don't know offhand. There's a good amount, like 40, 50 feet, I'd say.
So if your house is, let's just be generous and say it's 40 feet wide, you know, from the road edge to the back of your home is 100 feet, that gives you 250 feet of grade behind you to the development line that the applicant's providing. Anything else?
Also, as you know, the property was never intended to be built on. It was never intended for residential use. It was supposed to be a water source, right? And when we all purchased the property, it was told that nothing would ever be built back there because it was supposed to be a well source, it was a water source, and, oh, yeah, hey, there's not enough water there to supply the neighborhood, but nothing would be built on there because there's a water easement. So the fact that this has come up a couple times and been denied was never intended to be there. Everybody who purchased houses there, it would never saw that like a house would be built back there. I think it kind of diminishes the overall neighborhood because there was never an intent from the development back in the 80s that this would ever have a house on it. So.
Yeah, the board will be in a hard place to, even though the technicalities of why this has come back to us for statute reasons that occurred 5 years ago, and knowing the path that this has gone in already, all the way to Supreme Court, you know, there's still some vetting to do here, but just understand that that where this path has gone with this parcel prior makes it tougher for this board to render an opposing decision.
Well, if they had a variant to build on it, why wasn't it built on? Why was it sold after it expired?
What is your impression of the former owners?
That is a loaded question, sir.
We're just not going to have to laugh for the record.
I know, everybody behind me is laughing. They understand. I think
without getting into
my personal opinion, it was sold with ill intent, and they did not disclose the fact that they were having issues building on it, and it should never have been sold as a residential property.
I understand.
Because otherwise they would have built on it. They were threatening us to tear down the trees and build a house. They had 2 years to do it. Why didn't they do it?
I understand.
Yeah.
All right, is that it?
Yep, that's it for me.
Any questions for Ms. Fazio?
No, thank you, Ms. Fazio.
You all set, Mr. Dietzel?
All set, thank you.
Very good, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Somebody else?
We have 4 minutes.
Yeah, this might be our last one. 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Raymond Vayer. I live at 17 Ballard, and my problem with this whole thing is, right now, if you look at the street, at 18 Ballard, the road bends and comes down into this declivity. So when it rains real hard, the water comes down, the road is crowned, and also the Ballard Circle, that is declivity that feeds onto that road that comes over. And also at 28, their driveway there is on a big declivity where the water comes down, hits Ballard Circle, hits Ballard Road, comes over to my property. And also, if that property, they allow that property in to do a driveway, that's going to be a driveway on an angle too, so that's more water coming down. As Mr. Burr said, 17, the water. The people before me put, from between the road and my property, put a piece of plastic down and put a bunch of gravel on it. And when it rains real hard, that gravel moves. There's so much water coming down that gravel moves, and my driveway is on a declivity. And even after these last couple of storms, I've got puddles in my garage. So that's my problem with the water.
And you're at 17?
Yes. And I'm afraid that my property is going to be flooded out. Because if they didn't put some of that stone up there, it's kind of holding it back, but it's still getting down into my garage.
But isn't that to the road design, not relative to this parcel that's being requested?
No, because all that water, if they put the driveway in, it's going to be on another declivity, and I've got water coming from another 3 other sources. All that water's coming down, it's coming across the road into my property.
So is it safe to assume your feeling is if, as it stands today, it's a hazard, but any construction to it would increase the hazard?
Yes, my property's going to get flooded, and I don't want to have to buy flood insurance. That's damn expensive. And then what kind of damage it's going to do. I mean, if it's coming down my driveway now and they have more water, it's going to come across the front of my lawn, and my land is on an angle too, so it's going to head towards my garage again.
So you're Vayu, right?
Excuse me?
You're Vayu?
Yes.
Okay. For some reason, I thought I heard your name was Ver, and I thought Alan's brother lived across the street.
No. I've been up here before in 21.
Okay.
So.
All right, anything else?
No, that's what my problem is, the water. And that water, and you see the storms we've been having lately, and even last year, yeah, a lot of water. And I've had water in my garage both times.
All right, very good, thank you.
Thank you.
Give me an extension, 15 minutes, please.
I'll make an extension to 10:30.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? You in favor?
Yeah, aye.
You all set?
Yep, we're all set. Thank you, Mr. Fahey. Anybody else? We're only going to let you go about another 10 minutes. Well, it's not just you. It's not.
That's been said tonight.
Hold on. It's not just you. I have to get other people in.
Yes,
So we have 10
I
minutes for
understand.
testimony, okay?
My name is Annette Hyde. I
Okay.
live at 24 Ballard Road.
Okay.
I've been there since 1995, and I too am opposed to the building of the developed home mentioned. In particular, my neighbor has a little girl, and she's in her backyard playing, and I have 3 grandchildren who will play there quite often, and I'm very concerned about vehicles, trucks, etc. So without much ado, I'm just here to support my neighbors in stating that.
All right, but you're
I would not
north of...
like to see that.
You're north of that oval, closer towards Hampstead Road?
No, I'm south,
South, you're 24.
24, yes.
Oh, I see, got it, okay.
Okay?
Very good, thank you.
I'm at Hyde.
Okay, anybody else?
Hi.
Hi.
Good evening. We'll be quick.
Okay.
Lauren Gurton, Kevin Kevin Gurton. Gurton. We're at 3 Briar. We're actually,
Southwest on the
Yes.
bottom. We're on the backside, very small amount that we abut their property.
Okay,
We aren't personally impacted by this, I don't believe, too much.
I have questions actually before I deem that. So we haven't seen this before. We saw the other map that you had without the house. If this goes forward and this is their proposed layout, are they able to then change it and move the house, or?
As long as they're within the setback requirements, they would
So
be
they can
able to
move it back
place
as far as they want?
They still have to keep a specific setback. I don't want to misquote it now, but they wouldn't have complete free reign. There still would be restrictions for each property line that they would have to meet.
There's also the town forest. Does that impact that at all? That's
It would be a property line.
Okay.
What is that rule?
what is,
I guess, so like right there,
So if they put a house
for
right
the
there, then
26,
15 feet.
it's only 54 feet, so can't be that big then, I guess.
well, I'm going to guess here, but the expense of putting in the driveway is not one that is going to suggest they want to push their house deeper into the forest.
Okay, that was one of my main
taking-
questions. You can keep talking now.
Yeah, mine was more just the neighborhood itself. Just if you expand more on Ballard, all the property lines are north of that. There's like 10 to 12 property lines that are pretty much identical. They're all narrow and long properties. There's neighbors to your sides, pretty close to the sides of you, but there's nobody behind you. So, and they're pretty much all identical. This would be a very unique property. The 3 or 4 properties that are in front of this now are impacted by that because now theirs are different than the rest of the properties along that road. So it kind of changes the structure of the neighborhood a little bit for those people, and it's different from the rest of the properties.
I guess, and then if we're talking about property value, our property value, I don't see how this would increase our property value in any way, shape, or form. Our property is unique, where we are set back in the woods, and privacy is one of our #1 benefits. We can't see another house from our house, and this would potentially impact that. We're not really sure, based on the layout. And then I guess the property value of the abutters that all have very legitimate concerns would definitely be diminished. Maybe the general overall value of the houses in the neighborhood, because a nice house is put in, would be increased, but the people directly touching would be lower, because no one wants to move into a house with a house in their backyard.
Well, my thinking, by the way, is that this is 250 feet, 300 feet away.
I hope so. But I'm nervous.
So I'm not sure how that ends up impacting this.
I hope so, but you said that they could potentially move it back, so then who knows
No,
how
I
close it
didn't. I
is.
said that it's not likely I'm guessing they're going to push it back further because of the cost of putting in the driveway.
I said that it could move within the requirements of a setback, so that was
Speculatively,
made,
because the
yeah.
setbacks.
I guess one thing that people talked about previously that I am not sure of, with water, in terms of water in the well, is this gonna be on a well? And they said something about drilling the well and it running dry. We are on a well and we can't get on town water because of how far back we are. So that would be a potential impact to us if they're both tapping into the same, I forget what it's called.
Excuse me, Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
If we could ensure just a little bit closer proximity to the microphone, we're getting a little bit of feedback on.
Got it, okay.
What came through in the application is that the property will be serviced by a private well and an on-site septic system.
Okay.
As far anything else, I don't
So if
know.
the water is the same source, I guess that could potentially impact us if our well is running dry.
Yep. It's always that chance. Not likely, but there's a chance. Anything else?
Nope.
Any questions for these folks?
No, thank you.
All right.
Thank you guys. Sorry
Okay,
to
thank
run you
you.
so quick, just get before the 10:30.
Everybody else all set in opposition? Okay. Gentlemen, why don't you,
Can we get a copy of this?
I suspect so.
Okay, thank you.
So, gentlemen, we're not going to get through all of this for you tonight. You want to come back and start your rebuttal then, or do you want to try and dig into it now? We can give you about 4 minutes.
I'll take the 4 minutes if it's offered, only because these items are now fresh in everybody's mind, including mine. I'm older than I look, and I may not remember in 2 weeks. A lot of comments about the easement to benefit the property to the north, which I believe is 26 Ballard. I've never spoken to the seller about this. I found the easement in record. It is fully executed. It grants rights, not obligations, to that abutting owner to maintain the driveway improvements that are currently on 26.5. It allows them to maintain what otherwise would be an encumbrance. If they don't want to do it, if they want to remove those, if they want to release the easement, all of that can be done. But, and again, I've got no knowledge of what was in the seller's head at the time, but I think this was done in an effort to simply preserve an existing condition and not cause anyone a hardship of, one, fighting over those encroachments, and two, having to remove them.
Sorry to interrupt, so I write that down correctly. You said maintaining rights to use, but not...
They have a right to maintain the existing layout of the driveway. They have no obligation to keep it there, and they have no obligation to maintain it. But they have the right to do so, if it benefits them, to clip that corner at the front and to come into that E2, 3, 4 rectangle further down the line. There was quite a bit of conversation about drainage and cutting of trees. Let me be very clear, we have no rights to do any work on anyone else's property. If there are trees on other people's properties that they wish to preserve, we will not be touching them, we cannot be touching them. And as far as drainage is concerned, we're talking about a single-family residence with residential accessory improvements, just like all the other properties that are there, and there's no reason to suspect that the impervious coverage associated with a single residence would create a significant change in the drainage pattern. And actually, as was mentioned by one of the speakers, we would have responsibility for that if it was to be leaving the property, flow leaving the property in an unreasonable amount that changed the natural drainage pattern. We don't have any easements for drainage. We don't have any rights to drain on other people's property. We have to manage our drainage just like everybody else is supposed to do. There was a comment about whether or not the house could potentially move back. It could potentially move back, but I can assure you that nobody wants that for the reasons the chairman mentioned in terms of the expense of a longer driveway and more area of disturbance, but also that's a perfectly good location that has been scoped out by my client's builder, and they're quite comfortable with the envelope that's put there. Does it move a foot or two here or there as they get into field conditions? conditions, I don't know. But that's the preferred layout and why it's proposed on the plan. There was a comment about construction traffic. It would be no different than developing another vacant lot or redeveloping an existing residential lot with a new home anywhere else in the neighborhood. We're talking about a use that is similar or same to all that surrounds it. And the comments about the width and utility of the driveway, we believe we can have a fully compliant driveway on this property, whether it's 12 feet, 14 feet, with the required grade and the required shoulders, so that utility and emergency vehicles would have reasonable and typical access. And that would be on us as the applicant for a building permit and the party constructing a residence to make sure that at the end of the day, we've followed the rules to be able to occupy the structure. I raced through that, Mr. Chairman. I took you seriously about 4 minutes. I'm out of breath and I'll stop.
All right, well, very good. And as one person to another, that probably we both forget what we had for breakfast this morning. I appreciate that. I think one thing we'll be curious about is grading. And I know you have Mr. McCarthy here. Perhaps he can provide that for us prior to the next board meeting. Perhaps look at how the drainage is suspected here. I also see the approximate proposed leach bed, which, weighs into where the house might go. Has that test pit been done at this point, or is that just a building?
We did a test pit.
You did?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's been approved.
So is that going to be your test pit location where it's shown on the map?
I believe so.
Okay. And what's your water table looking like?
I
Roughly.
don't have the data with me,
All right.
but it was good.
If you can give me the grading for the next meeting, as well as that, have you gotten an approval from DES yet? No, you haven't submitted?
No.
As necessary, right? I suppose.
When this blew up, we hit the brakes.
Sure, yeah, no, I get it, as necessary. All right, I think you know what we're looking for the next meeting?
Appreciate it.
Okay, very good. Motion to table this,
Motion table until our next meeting.
June 18th? Very good. A second, please, Mr. Donlin.
Second.
Thank you very much. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Very good. Have a good evening, gentlemen.
Thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, thank you for staying late, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Appreciate it.
All right, next up is review of summer schedule. Does staff have preferred days there, other than every Friday in the month of July?
I think if we follow town council, then my friend on my left gets a whole week.
When's town council, Mr. Prevent, do you remember?
Sorry.
That's all right.
Off the top of my head, I'm not sure of the August month, but July, I think they're avoiding the first week as being the holiday week.
July 2nd.
Third week of July?
I'm sorry?
Third week of July?
Third week of July.
Okay.
I won't be here.
Okay. It's oh, you won't.
It would be July 2nd.
Folks, can I get you to exit the room, please?
Mr. Chair, I will be out first, second, and third week of July myself.
I'm sorry again?
I'll be out the first, second, and third week of July.
Gaspar, all of July, you'll lose me for week 3.
I'll be gone the first week of July, but
You're gone the first week of July. Yeah, I think we're practically going to have to be to the third week of July because July 4th, okay? And then August, did you have a suggestion?
I'm not sure what the council chose for that second.
Chose the first one,
The
so
first
it would
one.
be August 6th. I can do.
August 6th?
it would be 2 weeks after the July meeting.
You're not
Sorry again,
invited.
Miss Owen?
That would be the first meeting in August, which would be 2 weeks after that meeting in July, if you stuck with that.
All right. Consistently over the years, it's been the third week of July, third week of August.
I think the 4th of July impacts it enough that we can do the first and third, but that would be my recommendation. Just historically, it's usually the third week each time.
Okay. Ms. Boudreau, that works for you?
Did you say the third week of July and then August 6th?
No, the third week of July, the third week of August. Yep. We all in favor of that?
Sir.
Very good. And then minutes, we table, please.
Yes.
Yes.
I have a couple
May 7th, I think.
I want to table last week's. I have a couple of changes to make.
Okay, and so I need a motion for that approval on the minutes to table 5/7/5/21.
I make the motion, we table both minutes for 5/7
Second.
and 5/21.
Very good.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. To Pier Properties, so we have to bring that back in some way, shape, or form. The HAB took a long time to decide this case and remand it back to us. Mr. Burgess is not here, so evaluating deeper discussion on the decision is kind of tough to do, as he was one of the deciders. We can bring this back for a full hearing or bring this back for, I guess, open discussion and reevaluating the decision. The second of the two is more abbreviated. Does anybody have a feel for how you'd want to go that?
I missed the last meeting that's led to this set of appeals. I would be content making them come back a third time. I would also be content, I guess I could step in for Mr. Burgess, but I would think maybe let them just do the revised talking points and then dive back into deliberative. Almost take it as a remand back to us.
Okay. Anybody have opposition to that?
I'm okay with it.
Fine.
Diesel? All right. Very good. So Ms. Owen will notify to Pier Properties, Mr. Attorney Swerenski, that we're going to bring this back for brief discussion and reevaluate our vote on it. All righty? We're not looking for new information on it. Okay. All right, very good. I think we've covered our agenda as much as we can for the evening. With that, we can take a motion to adjourn.
Make the motion.
Second.
All in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. Have a good night, everybody.